Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Et8 for the PC Challengers Cup. Or like well, I suppose you could say like the practice Challengers event, which we're hosting here. All 6 rounds. Similarly, well, the same calendar to the Esports Challengers series. We've just got a few different drivers in. Obviously, got some of the wild cards in. But we're back for round two. If you missed last week, we'll have a look at the results quickly. And there you can see Dylan Warren, great strategy. Started, I believe, ninth. Moved himself all the way up to first with the hard soft strategy. Bit different to what everyone else did. They went hard medium. And obviously the strategy difference that Dylan made worked. And then also in the actual esports event, I think he started P9 and finished P2 as well. So that also helped him with that different strategy. So we'll have to see today if he puts some more interesting strategies to play. Obviously, Istvan Pukki took second. There was a big battle between him, Ishmael Fassi, and Will Lewis, second through to fourth. Then we had Sabakonya, which didn't really get up too much. He just kind of sat behind and let all the action unfold ahead. He went fifth, and Chanakinchi was fighting for third. He had, I believe, a penalty. And that dropped him down to sixth position. I think it was 3 or 5 seconds. And then obviously the wild cards, which were Vincent Fionn and Liam, all finished seventh, eighth, and ninth. And then Valentine Brufat finished in 10th. That was all the I believe that was all the finishes in the race. We had lots of DNFs, a lot of, I think we had quite a few angry drivers who got involved in many incidents. Obviously, Ruben Pedreño, who went pole and went quickest in all 3 sessions, retired after his pit stop due to an incident with, I believe it was, I think it might have been Fassi or Pookie after he had his pit stop. So he retired on track. And then we look at the lineup. No, we'll look at the track. There we are. So obviously we're here at the Melbourne track at Australia. Obviously, 3 sectors, 3 DRS zones. IRL, it's 4 DRS zones now. And yeah, great track. Lots of different types of corners. You've got the turn 1, 2 chicane, very difficult to get correct. They can easily lose the rear or overshoot it on entry. Then you go through in towards turn 3 after that bit of a DRS straight. You've got to be very careful there not to go deep, as we've seen many drivers do. And also when it comes to battling, you've got to be careful because many times drivers do get pushed off at the exit of turn 3. Then you have 4 and 5. Then you go through towards 6 and 7 where we saw Alex Albon crash in the 2023 Australian Grand Prix. Yet again, you've got to be very careful there. That curb on the exit coming through to 7, because that can really just throw the car out of your control. Then you have turns 7 and 8. Well, turn 8, which is more just a bit of a kink to the right. Then you go through into the turns 9, 10 chicane. Probably one of the most annoying circuits, annoying corners, sorry, annoying complex of corners in the F1 calendar, because it just seems everyone, well, most people have issues here. So we'll have to see what that can throw up. Then we come down towards turn 11. Yet again, another weird corner. I don't know what it is about it, but it just seems that braking, it's really weird. Because you're going, but it just feels like sometimes you either brake too much or you don't brake enough. Then you come out of there, you've got to be very careful on the exit there. You can pretty much put the throttle fully down out on the exit, but you've got to be a bit careful, depending on setup. Then you come through in towards 12 and 13. Bit of, well, it's a bit of a chuck to the right. Then you come back, then in towards the left-hander. Where you shift out to about second or third. That's a really slow corner. Then you come out of there. Then you have the final corner. Very difficult when it comes to traction. Many people can spin there easily, so you've got to be very careful there. And also, you've got to be careful not to hit the wall if you open the wheel out too quickly. So yeah, a pretty complex track, but obviously we've got some of the quickest drivers here in the scene, so they should be able to make it very, very interesting. We're about to get started shortly, and we'll have a little look through the grid, as I can see it in front of me. 1 second. Just grab it up. So, all of this should be correct. There might be some changes, I'm not sure. But as it goes, we've got Mercedes with Liam Stevens and Russian Jacobs, and Ferrari have Jan Halliday and Dylan Warren. Red Bull have Sven Schumacher and Floris Fires. McLaren have Noel Carman and Kuba Tresiak. Alpine have Bent Sabakonyi and Cameron Dowds. Haas, Ika Bayona and Sergio Sobrino. Aston Martin, Nelson Alves, and I believe it's Istvan Pukki. Yes, it is. And then obviously AlphaTauri have got Vincent Nyqvist, Alfa Romeo, Bogdan Moldovan, and then Williams have Tamas Gal and Phil McKee. And it says Harlem's listed down as a reserve to attend, but I'm not sure team he'll be driving for if he does join. Obviously, in Harlem, as confirmed, he's in the Alfa Romeo, so he'll be alongside Bogdan Moldovan. Obviously, looking through the grid, we haven't seen Nelson Alves drive yet. He was originally a reserve, but he stepped up to full time. Last before the first race. I don't think he attended that either, unfortunately. When we look further through, obviously Cabernet not racing in Challengers, but he is, I believe, part of the DHL time trial. I believe most of the people we've seen before. Obviously, Floris Fire is not part of Challengers, but he was, I think, 2019, 2020 Haas esports driver, so he's got a lot of experience behind him. and he's with his teammate in TF10, Sven Schumacher. They both take Red Bull. Then we look further up. I believe most of the people here have made an appearance before. Trashyak, I think he made an appearance, but unfortunately had that really bad qualifying session, didn't he? And unfortunately couldn't get out the bottom 3. So it'd be nice to see what he can do today. Obviously racing for FVR. I just want to get the chat up quickly on my other screen so we can have a little look through. Luckily today it wasn't much of a rush around. I managed to get everything sorted out on time and no game crashes. Touch wood. Yet. And I don't know why we're not starting. I believe we should start shortly. But obviously, welcome in everyone. Welcome to the stream. Hello, Jim. Welcome in. Nice to see you in here. Obviously, Cameron's here as well, isn't he? So that's nice to see him take part here. Thanks for the follows. Cameron's dad and Minor112233. And hello, Theon. And I'm not going to comment on what you called me. And don't worry though, it's only a joke. It's not that much of yeah, I'm not going to say the words, but you know what I'm trying to say. But I think we are getting underway soon. We've got 17 drivers. I believe we've got 18 or 19 attending. So we should have everyone in quickly. Probably just a few technical difficulties. Yeah, obviously the standings. I haven't got the sheets of the standings up, but obviously the point system works the same to F1. We'll look back at the top 10, and obviously the standings there will go down. So obviously 25 points for Dylan Warren, 18 for Isam Pookie, 15 for Ishmael Fassi, 12 for Will Lewis. I don't know why it says Lewis Will, because I always thought it was Will Lewis. I don't know if it's actually Will Lewis or if it's Lewis Will. Let us know in the chat because both the names can be used as a first or last name. But Ben Shabakonya takes 10 points, Chanakinchi takes 8, Vincent Nyqvist takes 6, Theo McKee takes 4, Liam Stevens takes 2, and then finally Valentin Brufat takes 1 point. And I think Valentin Brufat is the one who got the fastest lap, if I am correct. But I'm not too sure. And obviously, the top 3 in the IRL, not IRL challenges, in the esport, the actual esport challenges, the official series, Dylan Warren got 2nd. Master strategy. I wasn't able to watch it that day because I was commentating over PSGL. But yeah, I heard at the end he started something like P2, and I thought, oh, that's a shame because I wanted him to do well. But then all of a sudden he's like, yeah, I'm P. Then it's like P2. I'm thinking, what? Hang on. But he did take the different strategy, picked onto the softs at the end, and that seems to work heavily. No one else thought that would be a good idea, even though Dylan showed it off in the Et8 Challengers Cup that it did work. But I hope we're about to get in because we've got 3 people readied up. Dylan, the host, is ready up, so that should mean, come on, everyone, ready up, get us into the lobby. Obviously, full qualifying session, 18 minutes Q1, where the bottom 3 drop out because we've only got 18 drivers. Then Q2, we have the bottom 5 drop out, that's 11th to 15th. And then Q3 is the final session, 12 minutes, it's just a top 10 shootout. A bit like a short quality session, but 6 minutes less and 10 drivers less. And that obviously sets up the grid for the Grand Prix. Then obviously the Grand Prix is 29 laps around here, so exactly half of the actual Australian Grand Prix. We've got 8 readied up, 8 out of 10, and then we should get going very shortly. But yes, welcome in everyone. Hopefully you are enjoying your evening or morning or afternoon, wherever you are on planet Earth. And we've got 19 in, so we've got another person join. Let's see who that is. It is Jack West, who wasn't meant to be racing, but he is now. I'm sure he declined, but we'll see what team he's racing for. He's racing for Mercedes, so that has meant that Liam Stevens has. Oh, has he left the lobby? Was he just swapped in? No, Liam. Oh no, Liam swapped to AlphaTauri. Sorry. So he'll be joining. Who's on AlphaTauri? He'll be joining Vincent Nyqvist together. And now the countdown has begun. So we'll switch to the main screen where we can get started for Q1. And obviously, as it normally goes, the slower drivers of the pack, they know they are. I don't want to call anyone out. They will typically go out on softs first, just to get a first run in. They're not going to bother with the inter thing. But most of the quicker drivers will go out on inters just to get a first lap in, check everything's set up and working, because you don't want to go out and track on a new set of softs and you're like, oh, the pedals don't work, or oh, the steering wheel's disconnected, or whatever the issues can be. So you obviously want to make sure that you can get everything sorted out before you get in. Obviously waiting on 2 people, Liam and Tamash, before we head into the lobby, which should be very, Very short. There we are. The countdown has begun, so well, we're in anyway. There we are. So beginning the qualifying one session. I'll talk through the grid quickly again as we work our way down, in case you didn't tune in right at the beginning. Just quickly waiting on the lobby to sort itself out. Obviously, we're here at Australia, so we'll have to see if it's wet or dry. And it's a dry session. Floris has left, so he's either had an issue with the game or he's not racing, which I wouldn't think he would anyway. I thought he'd definitely be here still. But looking down the grills, his friend Schumacher. He's driving for Tieton. He's in Red Bull alongside Floris Fires. He's one of the wild cards, same as Floris. We have Marquis, who's joining Bogdan Mulder, also two of the wild cards. Obviously, Harlem House drove previously, I believe, for Alfa Romeo as a development driver back in last season. Sven, I'm sure he was a development driver somewhere, if I'm correct. I might be wrong though. Obviously, Floris, as I mentioned before, has drove in a Haas esports team as a full-time driver. Looking for Denise Van Pook. He's in Aston Martin with Nelson Alves. Liam Stevens is with Vincent Nyqvist. Obviously, Vincent, part of the RHG Academy team. Tamas Galt, now part of... where was he part of now? I'm sure he's part of a team. I might be wrong. Where is he part of now? Oh, he's part of Pineapple, but I always thought he was part of an esports team, but I might be wrong. We've got Jack West and Richard Jacobs driving it together in Mercedes. Fionn McKee, along with, I believe he's the only Williams on track, if I'm correct. Then we have Cameron, RHG Academy driver with Bent Sabaconia. I believe Bent at one point was something to do with Ferrari, if I was correct. I'm not quite sure. And obviously, Floris, Sergio Sabrino alongside Ika Bayana. Mika's taking part in the DHL time trial, that's next month. Nelson Alves, Dylan Warren, surprisingly hasn't got a development drive yet. Well, what at least I know is public. Surely he's got to have one. He'd deserve it anyway. Then Kuba Trashiak, driving for FVR, Bogdan Moldovan, Vincent, and then Jan, the final one to mention. He's obviously joined the brand new Czech team. I think it's Tomas Eng, if I said that correct, or Tomas Eng, which is a Czech sim racing team that he's joined recently. Obviously got announced last week. But he's still also part of Shazoo as well, so he'll be racing for those in the team events on the game. But got to get everything sorted out. So we talked through the grid. Then when we see the first person have a lap, which I believe is an AlphaTauri, it is an AlphaTauri. It's Vincent. We'll go through the track with him if he does set a lap, and we'll just talk through the track as we go through. So obviously, coming down into the final corner at turn 14, bit of a snap, but he's on the inter, so it obviously won't be a very quick lap. As you know, charges down towards turn 1, obviously with the DRS open, the first DRS zone of the track. Then you go down to turns 1 and 2, you got to go down to 5th, hop the first curb, then you got to kind of ride the second curb. But you got to be very careful not to lose it. It's very easy to lose the rear there, of course. Then you charge down with the second DRS in towards turn 3. You've got to be very careful here. You obviously don't want to hit the red curb. And you've also got to make sure you don't run yourself wide onto the grass. Then into turn 4 and 5, very easy as well to lose the rear and losing the rear there from Vincent. Then you come through in towards turn 6. You've got to be very careful there. It can also be easy to lose the rear. This track, you can lose the rear absolutely anywhere. Here, turn 6 and 7, very easy to lose the rear. Turn 8, you've just got to kind of bring yourself out wide. Then you come down through here, it's basically corners, but it's not classed as a corner, which is odd. As you then come through in towards turn 9 and 10, very difficult chicane, shift down to 6th. Then, in order to get a bit of better traction and control on the exit, you shift up to 7th generally. Obviously, Vincent's gone wide there. That's an easy example of what can happen in that corner. Then you head down to turn 11. I always find it difficult to break it. It just seems like the corner just comes at you out of nowhere. Obviously, generally, you can put your foot down straight away on the throttle. Then you come through in towards turn 12. You can be very careful here. And Vincent there saving the car barely. Then you come in towards turn 13. Very slow corner. Then finally, back in towards turn 14. Vincent will complete his first lap. Oh, just spin on the exit there. Just not able to catch the car. Bogdan Moldovan will go on board with him as he comes through. He's invalidated. Kuba Trashiak goes through. Fionn McKee, for the first time ever, goes quickest in a qualifying session. He goes to the top with the 21.970. Harlem, 3/10 off. Vincent, 10 seconds off, but he spun at the final corner. Trashiak now currently coming through the final few corners. Let's see what time he can put on the board. Rishant goes quickest. No, yes he does. He goes with a 7.46. Then Schumacher goes even quicker. Trashiak goes into 5th with a 22.255. Liam Stevens is invalidated already. Bent Sabaconia goes up to 4th with a 21.973. Nelson, he's beginning a lap now on the inters. We'll see if anyone yet is deciding to go out on softs. And there is no one out on softs at the moment. They're either got the softs on in the pits or they're out on the track with inters. So more people this time taking the inters than last time. I think we had about 5 or 6 people take soft runs at Bahrain, but more people here choosing to opt for the inter strategy. Dylan Warren coming through the final corner now. See where he can put himself up the board. It'll be a 21.477 goes quickest. And Hurday now coming through in towards turns 6 and 7. Obviously having a bit of a poor performance here in Bahrain for the Challengers Cup here at Et8. And I don't think his performance was much better, unfortunately, at the Esports Challengers event. I think that could have been me with the curse, because I told him he would be top 5. Not going to confirm nor deny if it was optimism, but it is what it is. And he comes through now out of turn 10. Invalidates his run, but obviously it really doesn't matter what the runs are at the moment, because everyone's going to set a lap on the softs, unless you bin it on your first lap on the softs. So it shouldn't really be much to worry about with the cut-off times at all yet. Looking through Jack West, he's on a lap time. He's cut the track there down at turn 10. And Floris is also on a lap. He's currently coming in towards turn 14. We'll be able to see what time he can do as he comes up towards the line. Oh, bit of a slide there, coming out of turn 14 now, up towards the line. It'll be decent that for Floris. And decent, it would have put him the exact same time as Dylan Warren. It would have put him to a 21.477. So hopefully we see some people now get some some soft times on the board. I think there's been a couple of drivers that didn't actually exit the pits in that session. I don't think Ikebai went out at all, nor did Sergio Sobrino, because I don't remember seeing any Hasses on the field. But let us know in the chat as well if the sound is all okay. It should be, but you know, there can always be different technical difficulties that need sorting out. But yeah, as he comes through now with Floris, goes purple in the first. As he comes through now in towards turn 8, then he'll come through in towards turn 9 and 10. We'll be able to see if he can try and beat the time of Dylan Warren, which is a 21.4. Vincent is the first out on the soft tyres. I think he was one of the first out on the soft tyres in the previous qualifying at Bahrain. But we'll just see now if Floris can improve on his lap time, or at least do a decent lap time. Harlem opting for the medium tyres, which seems odd, but maybe he wants to just set a banker on the mediums, then do one soft run, and hopefully save yourself a set of softs into Q2 if you can make it through, which should be possible for Harlem. Now Floris in towards the final few corners, lets off. He'll be pitting to put on some soft tyres. Cameron Dead is also on track. We'll go on board with Cameron as he comes out of turns 2 and 3. Obviously Cameron, same as Vincent, both part of the RXG Drivers Academy. Obviously none of them in challenges because they're not old enough. Both of them are 13, so very young and brand new to the sim racing world. Well, in terms of age at least, as they come through. So they should definitely be drivers in the future to look out for, to join in for the challenges in the esports event. And also thank you there for Callans Hall, if I said that correct there. Thank you for the 3 months at Tier 1. I'm really sorry if I pronounced that name wrong, because I don't know how to spell Spanish. I don't know how to speak Spanish, sorry, or spell Spanish words, so very sorry about that. But thanks yet again for the 3 months subscription. And it says in the chat, sigue a nuestro creador de contenido, Calenzol en su canal. So I believe that in other words means look at the channel because he's a creator of content, I believe, if I said that right. But now, on board with Cameron Dowd as he comes out of turn 14 to begin his first run and the second run of the session, as Vincent Neekvist will be the first, but we'll stick on board for Cameron as he comes now. Charge you down to turn 1, we'll go on board, shift down to 5th, then you want to get on the power nice and early, ride the curve as you come out of there, out of turn 2, then you shift into 7th as you come down into 8th, as normal, then you brake down at the 50-metre board, 100-metre board, shut the car in, misses the apex a little bit there as he comes through, just not touching that curb. Bit of a slide on the rear, won't harm him too much. Ride to curb on the exit of 5. Now in towards turns 6 and 7. Got to be very careful through here. 26.650 for his first sector. Not bad at all for Cameron. As he now charges through in towards 9 and 10, the chicane. Horrible chicane. He's got to make sure he can get this right. You don't want to take ultimate risk on your first run, because you just want to get a banker on the board that's at least representable to get through. Brakes down to 6th, then you can see he'll shift up to 7th on the exit. Oh no, he doesn't. He stays in 6th instead. And Vincent Neekvist goes quickest with a 17.642. We'll be able to see if Cameron can beat that. Into turn 11, brakes at the 50-metre ball, chucks the car, and then you go into 5th. Ride the curb on the exit, then you come in towards turn 12, stays in 6th. Just being a bit feathery there with the throttles. He comes down in towards turn 13. Bit of a scruffy break in there for Cameron, but he corrects it perfectly easy. Now comes through. Turn 14, rides a curb on the exit of 14, up towards the line. Let's see what Cameron can set on the board. Will it be quicker than Vincent? Yes, it will. A 17.16, well, 5 tenths quicker than what Vincent could do. Liam Stevens, he's also currently coming through in towards the final part of the track. He did a 44.3. First and second split there. Also got a Red Bull nearly holding him up. Then at turn 13, not sure if it held him up too much, but we'll see. As he comes out the final corner, he'll get a bit of a slipstream actually from this Red Bull, who I believe is Sven Schumacher. As he comes up to line, Liam Stevens goes second with a 17.3. Dylan Warren's on an 8 lap. Sven Schumacher's on a lap. He was the Red Bull that held, well, presumably held Liam Stevens up. Rishan's on a lap. Theo McKee's currently coming through now in towards turn 9 and 10. We'll see what time he can put on the board. He's up by 2.1 seconds. He's 44.4. So that's about a tenth slower than what Liam Stevens did. So still will be quicker than Vincent Nyqvist, if he can keep it through in this third sector as he comes now down in towards turn 11, then in towards 12 and 13. Should be a pretty decent lap for Theon. His teammates he hasn't got a teammate because there's no other Williams. Actually, no, there is a Williams. That's Tamas Gal. My bad. It's just because there's 5 different cars with blue. You can't really tell who's who. He's going to come out of the final corner. Theo McKee up to line. Where can he put his car on the board? It will be a 17.470. Puts him into third for now. Dylan Warren's on lap time. He comes up to the line. I think he's about to set his lap. Yes, he is. Richard Jacobs now has invalidated his lap time, so he won't improve. Bent Sabakonyi, he's on a time. He's currently coming through now in towards the final few corners, into turn 13, before shortly jumping in towards 14. This should be a pretty solid lap from Bent as he comes up to the line. Should get ahead of these guys first to fourth, because he's a Challengers driver. The others aren't, and he goes quickest at 17 flat. Very nice lap time there from Bent. Obviously 1-2 for Alpine now. Also, I believe that, bit of front wing flying there off one of the cars. Not sure who that was. Was it one of the... I think it might have been one of the Ferraris, I'm not sure. But we'll go on board as Jan has got... he's invalidated, actually. Tamas Gal goes quickest to 16.977. The first driver to get into the 16s. Nelson Elves, as he's on a lap now, he's coming down in towards turn 11. Floris Fires goes third fastest with a 17.1. Istvan Pukki goes quickest with a 16.8, a tenth quicker than what Tamas Gal could do. And now, still on board with his teammate, Nelson. Let's see what time he can set on the board as he's currently coming now out of 13 in towards turn 14. This shouldn't be too bad of a lap at all from Nelson as he comes up to the line. Let's see what time the driver can do. It puts him fourth of 17.005. Jan Herde is on a time. He's invalidated. Dylan Warren has pitted, so he might have been the one who got the damage there. Down at turn 6. Bogdan Moldovan's on a lap. He's currently in towards turn 4 and 5. Obviously, Bogdan's made many appearances in many leagues, so it's not very surprising to see him racing here. Also, he's part of the ETA esports team, so it would make even more sense for him to be here. But he sets a 27.2 for the first sector. I believe that's like 5 tenths lower than what Vincent did, but we'll have to see. As the day comes through, he's got no battery, so he won't be on a lap at all, will he? Jan Harde's beginning the lap now. He's coming through in towards turn 4 and 5 now, obviously recharging his battery after having an incident on his first lap. He's coming down now. Let's see what he can set in the first sector. 29.0, so... I guess he's on a lap, because I had a feeling that he was a 26.6 for Vincent. I must have read that wrong. Must have been a 29.6, but we'll stay on board with Jan for now. To see what he can do in the middle sector. And no, it's not a lap, because he's done a 46.9. So obviously made a big mistake in the first sector. Trying to recover for it in the second. Obviously going purple there. He now comes in towards turn 11. Shortly before jumping into turn 12. Obviously his teammate Dylan didn't set a lap time, well, representable lap time yet, so he's 13th. Currently, the bottom 5 is Trasiak, Coleman, Ikebayana, Bogdan Malvan and Jan Halliday. So at the moment they are going to be the ones dropping out of the session. And I believe... Yep, so we've got second and third retiring. So we'll see many drivers now who think they're quick enough to retire. Harlem's on a lap time. He's currently now coming through in towards turns 5 and 6. Let's see what time he can do in the first set. Should be 26.6 by 1.8 seconds in that first. Now he comes through in towards turn 8. The pole sitter, so, well, the provisional Q1 pole sitter is Van Pukki. Has retired, so obviously he thinks his 16.8 is good enough, and I think we all know that a 16.8 is good enough. But Harlan Marquis, a 44.3, that's matching what Liam Stevens did in the middle sector. He's now coming out of turn 10. Bit of a squiggle, but makes it through fine. So, charges down towards turn 11. Jack West thinking a 17.1 is good enough to get him through. And we go through. Now into turn 12 with Harlem. Ooh, nearly losing the rear there. That was a close one, but saves it perfectly there. Can't fault Harlem for that one. As he now comes through in towards the final few corners. Cameron Dowd's retiring on a 17-1. He thinks that should get him through perfectly fine. Harlem up to the line. Where does he go? Up to 12. So that could be not good at all for Harlem. A 17-5. That could easily drop him out. I think the cutoff should be around a 17-3 possibly. In this session, but obviously everyone out, well, most people getting out on track now to begin their final runs for Q3. Obviously Noel, Ika, Bogdan and Jan will be setting their first runs, even though they've been out multiple times. Noel obviously was racing in Bahrain, didn't race because he messed up with the setup, I think, when it was loading into quali, so unfortunately he had no setup, so he just decided not to race. So there we are, the top 7 all retiring, so 17-1's down. The cutoff should be around where Sergio Sobrino is, I believe, in this session. Noel Carmen, he's going to be coming now in towards turn 3. Obviously, him and his teammate not sitting any good time, so they've got to definitely improve in the McLarens into turn 3 and 4 now. Pretty clean so far for Noel. Coming through in towards turn 5 and 6. See what time that is, 26.8, so a couple of tenths off, I believe, the purple sector, even though it says he's purple. I know he's not, because I think there was many drivers in the 26.5s or 0.6s in that first sector. Now coming through in towards turn 9 and 10. You've got to be very careful in this chicane. You obviously want to take a bit more risk now to get yourself through to Q2, but you don't take too much of the fact you've been it. And Noel there, taking that very nicely. Obviously leaving it a bit later before shifting up to 7th. As he now hurdles down towards turn 11. Noel having a pretty decent clean lap for his first run in this session so far. Could hopefully get him through, but we'll have to see what the cut-off time is. Holmes obviously retiring because he can't set another lap. Noel now into the final few corners. Should be a decent lap because it's a little bit deep though into turn 13. Pretty easy for drivers to do, but he corrects it perfectly fine as he now comes out the final corner. Where can Noel Carmen go? Is he out the bottom 5? Yes, he is. Puts himself into P9 with a 17.3. Sobrino is on a lap as well. He's now 2 tenths up on his previous first sector, 26.5. That's a great first sector there for Sergio Sobrino. Goes purple in the first to add to that as he now heads down in towards turn 9 to 10. Obviously, his teammate in the other Haas, Ikabayana, he's 18th. Obviously, teams don't really matter here. It's just about being placed in a car. So it doesn't really matter where your teammate scores at all. And there we are, 2.5 tenths still up for Sergio Sobrino. So this is good enough to put him into the top 4 if he can keep this up. I believe that was Fionn McKee jumping up to 10th there, I believe, with a 17.4. Noel Carmen now down to 15th, so he could possibly drop out of the session with a 17. Oh no. Oh, he's retired on track. Noel's retired on track, so that's why he's dropped down to 15th. That's a weird one. That's a bit of a glitch, I think. Liam Stevens goes up to 5th. Where can Sobrino go up to the line? Can he get himself to the top? Yes, he can. A 16.827 there from Sergio Sobrino. Great lap time to try and top the Q1 session. Rishan Jacobs goes up into the top 10 barely. Jan Halliday has let off his time. He finished in 11th with a 17.1. 8-9. Fionn McKee's up though in the first sector. He's invalidated in the middle though, so he can't improve. Bogdan Moldovan goes up to 12th. Sven Schumacher's on a time now. Let's see, can he improve and try and get himself through to Q3? He's on a 26.7. So it'll be difficult for him to try and get through unless he improves a lot more. But at the moment, Dylan Warren is out of this session, so he definitely needs to improve on his time. He's currently in the final few corners. Can Dylan Warren improve up towards the line now? Let's see, where does Dylan Warren go? This will be a great lap. And he goes 3rd with a 16.9. Sven Schumacher now in the drop zone. He needs to get himself through. Depending on what he can do in this session, this could drop Noel Carmen out. Fionn McKee finishes 14th, so he's going to be at risk. But actually will be through. Yes, he will be through. Fionn McKee is through into Q2. Can Sven, though, get himself out of this Q1 session? He's currently just a few, I think about half a tenth off getting himself through. Can he jump Noel and Fionn and possibly even Bogdan? Because the gap between Bogdan and Fionn is giant. But Sven, who now up to the line, goes 14th. Drops Fionn McKee into the drop zone. I'm very confused there with Noel Carmen. Because Sven jumped Noel, but it kept Noel in 15th, so that's a bit of an odd one there. But Fionn McKee, he's actually out the session. So, can't be wrong. I didn't expect that. Bogdan's let off his lap, so he's going to finish on a 17.2. But for now, the bottom 5, Ika Baena, Cuba Trashiak, Vincent Nyqvist, Harlan Marquis, and Fionn McKee. Ika didn't set a lap, so I'm not sure if that was planned or if he just couldn't set a time. But that's very surprising to see Ika not on a good lap time. Same as Cuba. I'd expect him to get a good lap time, but he obviously hasn't improved since his Inter run. But the top three being Sergio Sabrino, Dylan Warren. Well, Sergio Sabrino, Istvan Pukki, and Dylan Warren. But still very confused there with Noel Carman's retired car, why it kept him in 15th. But there we are. We'll have a look through the results as we go through. So Sergio topped the session, 35 thousandths ahead of Istvan Pukki, then a 10th between second and third. That's Istvan and Dylan. Then we go down. Tamas Go went into fourth, followed by Bent Sabakonyi, Nelson Alves, Liam Stevens, great qualifying there in seventh. Floris Fies in eighth, Cameron Dowd in ninth, then Jack West rounds at the top 10. Christian Jacobs, Jan Halliday, Bogdan Moldovan, Sven Schumacher, and Noel Carr. Well, no. Oh. So Sven Schumacher makes it through, but Noel Fion. Oh, that's a really odd one. We've got 6 people out in Q1. Am I just stupid? Because surely it should be the top 15. But I guess it's just the top 14 taking part in Q2. So which means now, to get out to Q2, you have less pressure because there's only 4 people dropping out, not 5. So yeah, that's an odd one indeed. Not quite sure what happened there, but I'm sure we'll have that cleared up. But yeah, so it seems Noel Carman, even though we finished 15th, he's dropped out of Q1. So now we've got just only 14 drivers into Q2 for the session. If you crash, you don't... okay. My bad then. I just don't really do much full quality commentary either, so that's probably another reason why I was confused. But yeah, surely it should have... I thought it would have kept Fion through, to be fair, because Noel did. Surely, if you don't take part in the rest of quali, just... Yeah, I don't know, it's an odd one. But Bogdan and Jan are going to be the first ones to settle that. Bogdan already out on track down at turn 3. He's, I believe, on some old softs, as you can see they're a bit more scrubbed on my screen anyway, compared to a set of new softs. Well, obviously, this time everyone will be on some soft tyres. No one running the intermediates at all, because everyone's sorted out what they need to sort out. So now it's just about getting the best lap times on the board. Obviously, some people, if they only did one run in Q1, might think, actually, you know what? We'll just go out on a new set one lap and see if that works. Some drivers, however, might think we actually need a lap first on our old softs and then we'll do a lap on our new softs, because obviously track evolution comes into play. It's very difficult to run a session with just one set of tyres. Normally you need to have at least either an old set and a new set, or if you're feeling brave enough, take 2 new sets through into the session. But Bogdan obviously going to be setting the first lap time and finished 13th in that previous qualifying session. So barely into Q2. And at the moment, only 3 positions away from getting yourself into Q3. So we've got to make these next few laps count, as you know, comes out the final corner. Well, comes out of turn 13 to the final corner at turn 14. As he begins his lap here around Australia now, down in towards turn 1. Obviously wanting to brake at about the 50-metre ball, chuck the car down to 5th, then you want to hop the curb on the first corner, then ride it on the second, back up to 6th, and then you'll just shift all the way up to 8th. Maximum speed, down in towards turn 3, brake at 100-metre board, chuck the car in, down to 4th, take a bit of the apex there, ignore the apex on the exit, then in towards 4 and 5, obviously riding that curb there, as he comes through in towards turn 6, then through in towards 7 and 8, it's going to be very careful here not to lose a rear. Bogdan takes that perfect, as you know, flies down towards turn 9 and 10. Thanks for the follow there, D-Hap, welcome into the stream. But Bogdan still on his lap, currently coming through this middle sector. What time can Bogdan do in the first and second combined? It'll be a 44.9. Pretty solid there from Bogdan. Goes purple in the middle sector, now hops the curb on the exit at turn 10. Rides it as he now comes down in towards turn 11. This is a pretty bog standard lap for Bogdan. Nothing he's done wrong, nothing he's done spectacular. Hopping the curb at turn 11, then riding the exit curb at turn 11, in towards turn 12. Then he comes in towards 13 now. Very slow section, got to be careful not to lock up there. Goes a little bit deep, but doesn't harm him too much. Now in towards turn 14, up to the line, full throttle. Let's see what time Bogdan can do, because this will be a pretty good lap from Bogdan. It'll be a 17.7. Puts you up to pole. Jan Halliday's on a lap. He goes up to first with a 17.4. Dylan Warren is coming up to long back, and here you go. Nelson Alves goes second. Dylan goes up to the top with a 17.3. Floris Fies on a lap. He's invalidated. Bent Sabakonyi goes up to fourth ahead of Bogdan. Sven Schumacher, he's on a lap time. He's done a 44.5 in the middle split, so this should be a pretty good time. Up to the line, he goes into fourth with a 17.6. Liam Stevens is on a lap. Christian Jacobs is invalidated down in the first sector. Cameron Dowd, 44.4 in the first and second combined. Sabrino into the final few corners, obviously topped the first session in Q1. Let's see, can he try and top the session in Q2 out of turn 14? Bit of a slide, but that just shows he's pushing really hard up to the line. Where can Sergio go? Goes up to only 7th, so 17.754. Was looking pretty solid from Sergio, but obviously messed up in the final few corners. Liam Stevens has invalidated his lap time. So has Rishan, and Cameron Dowds will be setting a lap. Let's see, where can he go? Obviously finished, I believe, 7th in the last qualifying session. And where will he finish in this one for now? It will be 4th. Obviously, we'll have multiple more laps. But for now, we're 4th position. 17.6, he's pretty solid there from Dowds. Rishan won't set his lap time, nor will Liam. We'll have to see whether they go for a second run. I don't think it'll be worth it because of the battery usage they've got. Only on 37% and Liam only on 40. Then we've got multiple people coming out the pits. Floris being one of them, I believe. No, he's not. It's someone. Who's coming out? I can't see. This game annoys me heavily. It says this car's going out, but the ones I was looking at, I don't think went out. Because Fenn's coming back in. Oh. No, ignore me. Floris is out. But it just took the game a few seconds, pardon me, to register it. Obviously, Floris getting himself through into Q2. Obviously, wanting to set a good lap here. I'd say in terms of experience, he's had the most experience of being in an actual esports team. He drove for Haas in 2019. I don't think any of the other drivers here have taken a full-time seat just yet. I might be wrong, though, so if I am wrong, feel free to correct me. And Floris also, I believe, one of the oldest drivers in the session as well. 24, I believe he is now. So older than many of the others. Liam's only 14. Cameron's 13. So big age gaps here. Nearly double the age. So Floris is nearly double the age of Cameron. So he's got, well, theoretically could have doubled the experience, but obviously it doesn't work that way. Now Floris now on his out lap to begin his first run. Well, second run, but his first one was invalidated. Here in the Q2 session, should realistically get himself out of the bottom 5. I've seen PSGL at round 9 Australia season 32 F3. He did win the race. He got second. I think it was him and Bogdan neck and neck at the line on the final lap. So he's got experience around here. He knows he's quick, but he's just got to make sure he can put it to work in the session. He now begins his first lap. Hopefully first set lap in Q2. Currently coming out behind the Aston Martin out of turn 2. DRS open, now down in towards turn 3. Obviously break at the 100-metre board, chucking the car in. First braking a bit like they're going a little bit deep. Shouldn't affect him too much though, as he now comes through in towards turns 5 and 6. Riding the curb heavily there. Now in towards 7 and 8. Down to 6th. You can see being able to put a lot of power down. So should be on, I believe, I can't know if it's new tyres or old tyres. We'll have to see though what he does in his middle sector split. You can see them from the tyres what type of tyres he's on. As he's coming through now in towards a 44.0. Surely that means he's on some new tyres. As he now charges out of turn 10 in towards turn 11 now at the start of this sector 3 section. Got to be careful here not to invalidate. Does it perfectly there. Obviously Floris going down to 4th. Many drivers second in 5th. As he now comes in 6th there. Has a bit of an issue. Corrects it. Nearly invalidates his lap time, but keeps it on track. So that would have lost him a 10th or 2 in that section of track. Let's see now what time Floris can do when he comes up to line. This should be a good time. Should be a 16. Up to line it is a 16.837 there for Floris Fires, putting himself top of the timings. Tamascal's invalidated down at turn 1. So that's ruined his lap run there. Bogdan, I believe, has let off his lap time. He was on a good lap as well. Then Sabakonyi's beginning a lap. Sven Schumacher's beginning a lap as well. We'll watch Sven. The other Red Bull coming through. Now down towards turn 3 with the DRS. Let's see what speed he hits before he brakes. He hits about 317 kilometers an hour. Chucks it into the braking zone. And you now comes through this horrible... I always think this section is horrible because it's very easy sometimes to bottom out on that curb there on the exit. Has a bit of a slide currently coming through turn 5 and 6. Down by 6,000. So on his first sector, 26.8. He's invalidated. So that's Sven Schumacher's time over. Cameron Dowds begins a lap. Nelson Alves is up by 4 tenths. He goes really wide though, but I think he keeps that lap time. Yes, he does. But he went heavily wide and was also 4 tenths up. So this is a good opportunity for Nelson to get himself back into that top 2 position in the session. We'll see as he comes out the final few corners what time this is for Nelson. Should be a pretty good time as he comes up towards the line. Where can Nelson go? It will be up to first with a 16.6. Great lap time there. Dylan Warren on an improvement. So is Jan Halliday. Jan up by 4 tenths. Dylan up by 2. So this is going to be really close now as they come into the final sector for Jan. His teammate just coming through towards turn 11. So they're a little bit a little bit apart. Istvan Pukki makes it a 1-2 so far for Aston Martin. Can Jan Halliday break up the 1-2 for Aston as he comes up towards the line? This should be a pretty solid lap for Jan. It's a 16.695, puts him into P3. His teammate Dylan Warren now through in towards turn 14. Sabakonyi goes fourth with a 16.772. Where can Dylan go? Can he go to the top of the timings? No, he can't. He improves to a 16.8, stays in sixth. Cameron Day is up by 3/10 in that middle sector, so he's only going to improve to a 17.3. Bogdan up to 7th to 17.1. Where can Cameron go? This isn't going to be much of an improvement, I don't think, at the final corner. We'll see as he comes up towards the line. It puts him in 16.9, so it was a big improvement in the final sector, just not a big one in the first and second. Tamas Gal, 47.6 in the middle, so he surely isn't on a lap. Jack West, a 28.283 in the first sector, so that's not a representable time. He's also on 40% battery, so he'll be heading back into the pit lane. And I believe so is Tamas Gal, but we'll just see what Tamas can do. No, he's not on a time at all. Tamas will be going back into the pit. So at the moment, the bottom five consists of Richard Jacobs, Jack West, Tamas Gal, Liam Stevens. Well, the bottom four, sorry. And Sergio Sobrino barely inside that top 10, and he topped the last session. So he's got a lot of time to gain in this session now, in the end of this session at least. I think we'll see most drivers now who come out next will be on for their final runs. I think everyone else, no one else is on a lap time so far. But currently it's Nelson who tops the session ahead of Istvan Pukki. 10 thousandths that separate them both. Would be great for Nelson to make this work and see if he can top Q2. Because then we'd have two different Q2 toppers. Well, two different qualifying toppers in the two sessions. Obviously, Sergio and Nelson. And also we can see the two Ferraris there going inside of each other as they head in towards the pit lane. Just still, I think, phased through Jan in the pits, and also I believe that's an Alfa Romeo heading into the pits as well. That's Bogdan Moldovan. He's pitting in now. I don't think, well, Cameron Dowd is in as well. But I think apart from that, no one else is heading out on track just yet. So obviously we'll be sitting in the pits now waiting for the final runs of the session to come through. No one's going to really go for two runs, I don't think. I don't think it'd be worth it, but we'll see. Richard, however, his engineers look ready to let him out. Also, the cut-off time for this session should be around a 16.8, I believe. 16.9, possibly. Obviously, the top time, I'm surely both the Astons don't need to go out. I don't think everyone else will beat. Well, I don't think another 10 people will beat a 16.6. So they should be pretty safe on their times. Sven, I believe, he's out on track. So is Floris. They're going out the first of the final bunch, the two Red Bulls. I think Sven was the first one out. He's currently heading down to the pit lane. So he's one of the Hasses. Well, the only Hass, which is Sergio Sobrino. He's on a out lap now. He obviously wanting to get himself out of the threat of the bottom four. Obviously, slowest at the moment by 1.1 seconds. Obviously, that could be due to tyres or traffic or many different things. But he's obviously got to gain it now in the rest of this session to get himself back through into Q3. It would be great for Sergio to get through. So he's just got to not let the pressure get to him in his final few runs. Sven also here, you can see his teammate Floris sitting behind the two Red Bulls. And yeah, we all know everyone starting to head out to track slowly. The two Mercedes, the AlphaTauri and the Alfa Romeo there. And also, that's Floris passing both his teammates. And Sergio Sobrino, so he will now be the first to set a lap. Jan Halliday thinks a 16.6 is safe enough for him. Which I can say I highly agree. I think a 16.6 nearly a pretty high 16.6 should get him through to Q3 easily. I think it'll be about a 16.9, 16.8, which is the cut-off zone for the session. We'll have to see. Floris heading now down in towards turn 11. I don't know why the outlap graphic disappears so quickly and so early. You're not even through turn 12 and it's saying, yeah, he's on a lap when he's not. But we'll stick on board with Floris to see what he can do in the final parts of this session. Nelson Alves retires from the session, so will Istvan Pukki, I'm sure, as he's not going out on track. But there we are, Floris fires coming out in towards turn 1, wanting to improve at least to get himself clear of that Q3 spot. Out of turn 1, shift up. He's let off. Invalidated. Invalidation for Floris fires, so he can't improve in this session. A 16.8, that could be pretty close to being eliminated. We'll have to see though. But Sven Schumacher, however, his teammate is on a lap. He's now down in towards turn 3, coming through in towards turn 4, then turns 5. Obviously, got to get this first section nailed. Was down on his first. in the second lap, and he's up by 2.5 tenths this time. So big improvement for Sven Schumacher in this first sector. He's now going to improve and get himself through into Q3, so he's got to at least improve by a second. Well, I'd say 7-8 tenths on this lap to get himself through. We'll see what he can do in the Q2 time split. It'll be a 44.1. That's 3.5 tenths. So now its final sector is where the main improvements will come for Sven Schumacher. Now, heading down with the DRS in towards turn 11. This is looking pretty solid so far for Sven. Obviously sitting inside the top 10 at the moment, but he's got to be at risk if he doesn't improve of getting through. Istvan Puk is actually on an outlap, so he's either setting a time or he's going to just be going for a bit of a quick run around the circuit. And now Sven into the final few corners. What time can he set? Has a bit of a slide though, a bit of oversteer coming out of turn 14. Obviously too eager with the power. Goes up to line, goes into 7th fastest. Well, 7th fastest with a 16.898, so just a little bit behind what Flores could do. Sabrino's invalidated, so he's at risk from being out the session. And he was he nearly has contact there with the Mercedes. That was Jack West. He's now coming through into the final corner. Where can he go? Hasn't set a lap time yet this session, nor does his teammate. We'll see what the two Mercs can do. The first Merc goes up to 5th fastest. Very nice lap time. Where can Rishan go? He's now heading through the final few corners. I believe that was Liam Stevens putting himself barely into the top 10. That surely will drop him out. Rishan, though, going deep in turn 14. Bogdan Moldovan up to 8th. Where can Rishan go? Up to line. Surely it should be a top 10 time. Up to line it is. P6 at 16.8. Flores is on a lap time as well. He's managed to get over the line. He's up by 80,000. So we'll see what Dylan Warren can do. He's let off his lap time, so he's at risk of being dropped out the session. Cameron Dowes has retired. He's not going to be improving. Sergio Sobrino, however, will. He's up by 2 tenths in the first, so he managed to get around and get another lap in time. Tamas Gal goes up to 2nd fastest with a 16.6. That now drops Sven Schumacher into the drop zone. Dylan Warren has retired. I think he's safe just about. We'll have to see. His Sven's on a lap. No, he's not. So this is safe for Dylan Warren, but it's not safe for Bogdan Moldovan, because if Sergio can get through now, he can get ahead of Bogdan and put Bogdan into 11th. So at the moment it is Liam Stevens, Cameron Downs, Sven Schumacher, and possibly Bogdan Moldovan in the drop zone. If not, it will be Sergio Sobrino starting 14th. He's now coming through into the final few corners. Flores Fires finishes 8th with a 16.8. Let's see. Can Sergio get himself out? He's got to not ruin this final corner. He does his final corner pretty perfectly, but he's got to hope he can hold it up to the line. Can he improve, get himself into the top 10? No, he can't. Only goes to 13th fastest with a 16.9. So that keeps Bogdan in just about into Q3. Well, that's a big shame there for Sergio, because he was the person quickest in qualifying 1. So that's a big surprise now coming out of Q2. And Nelson Alves tops the session, just ahead of Tamas Gal, the two Hungarians, 2nd and 3rd. That's Tamas and Istvan. Jan Holiday 4th, Ben Sabakonyi 5th, Jack West 6th, Rishan Jacobs 7th, followed by his Dutch teammate Floris 8th, Dylan Moran 9th, and then Bogdan Moldovan 10th for Q3. Obviously, I wouldn't say Rishan and Floris are teammates, but they're, we'll say, compatriots for the Dutch nationality. But there, Bogdan being able to get through, that's a great qualifying session there for Bogdan, obviously joining the top 10 with the others. But Sven, Cameron, Sergio and Liam are the ones out of the session in Q2. Very surprised for Sven, and also very surprised for Sergio. I thought they would have got themselves through into the final qualifying session. But obviously now, so the people that don't know how Q3 works, it's a bit like a short quali, but there's 10 less drivers and there's 6 less minutes. Just 12 minutes to take your 2, 3 or however many runs you want to take through into the end of qualifying. And obviously it's dry yet again. And we'll be able to see the action get on track very shortly. But I'm being spammed on Twitter. I'd like to see what this is about. Oh, there's a bit of a conversation going through in one of the posts. It was the drivers out in Q1. So many people talking here, and Fion says no practice and invalidated point 1. Sergio says 30 minutes practice for me. Harlem 0 practice, and Dylan says +1. This track is awful. Then Vincent says facts. But now I believe we've got people out on track. Yes, we have. We've got Bogdan Moldovan going to be on the track. We're going to put the lap data on. Ignore the telemetry for now. We'll keep that off for the time being. But Bogdan, obviously, getting himself into Q3. Barely got into Q2, but barely got into Q3. Finishing 10th there, just ahead of Sven Schumacher. Be great to see what Bogdan can do in this final session. Obviously, in Q3, got nothing to lose. Bogdan started 10th in Q3, so he knows, well, obviously, I was 10th in Q2, so my pace obviously isn't for first. So maybe just see what we can do, use all the power we can, and just, just go for it. It could work heavily. It could really not work out for him. But we'll have to see what he can do and extract out of this session. He's coming now in towards turn 11. Actually, we've got Nelson Alves ahead of him. He's going to be the first driver to set the lap. Obviously, tops the timings in Q2. I think he was 4th in Q1, so having a pretty decent qualifying session so far. Nelson, he's obviously making his first appearance here in the Et8 Challenge Cup. He wasn't here for Bahrain, but he's obviously here for Australia as he now begins the first lap of the qualifying 2 session. As he now heads down to turn 1 with the DRS open, breaks at the 50-metre wall, chucks the car in down to 5th, back up to 6th on exit, has a bit of a correction, but it won't harm him too much as he now heads down in towards turn 3, breaks at the 100-metre, well, just after the 100-metre bug, chucks the car, and you want to just about touch the curb on the inside. Then you want to come through into turn 4. You just want to barely touch the curb there, ride the curb on the exit, because obviously you've got a higher ride height, you can take that risk. And then you come through turn 5 and 6, you want to just ride the curb there, now in towards 7 and 8. You're going to be very careful here. Obviously, Nelson, they're going a bit deep, but corrects it perfectly fine and now rides his way through. Out of turn 8, in towards turn 9 and turn very shortly at the high speed chicane. Got to hope this car ahead with the Mercedes moves out the way, which he does. Just barely getting out the way there. Nelson now in towards turn 9, 10 of 43.9 split. That's a great lap time so far from Nelson Alves. He now heads down in towards turn 11 with the DRS yet again. Obviously wanted to brake just at the 50-metre ball, chuck the car in, hop in the curb a little bit, ride the curb on the exit, full power. Now in towards turn 12 at the quick right-hander, shifts down to 5th, back up to 6th. Then he comes in towards turn 13, down to 3rd. Oh, misses the apex, so goes deep. That could lose him a couple of tenths of time there. And, comes out the final corner, rides the curb on the exit, now up towards the line. This should be a great starting lap from Nelson in Q3. A 16.585, the quickest lap time so far we've seen throughout qualifying. We've also got multiple people on laps. We've got Bogdan Moldovan, he's on a lap. He's invalidated, so he's heading into the pit lane. Also, Void F1, thanks for the follow. Welcome in. Richard Jacobs is on a lap. He's the second driver to settle out now. He's coming out of turn 2, shortly in towards turn 3. Obviously, getting himself through into Q3 quite comfortably, along with his teammate Jack West. And let's see what Rishan can do in this first sector. Down to, taking a lot of curve there from our screens from Rishan. Obviously, got a setup with lots of ride height, just able to mount the curves completely. As he comes through into the end of sector 1, what does he set? It's a 27.0, so he must be on used tyres, because that's about 6 tenths of what Nelson Alves did in the first sector. He now heads through. Dylan Warren also on track, I believe, along with his teammate Jan Halliday. They are obviously now heading out to begin their laps. Rishan. Now, what can he do in the middle sector? Will be a 44.5. 6 tenths off Nelson Alves, so still in the low 17s if he can get this final sector matched up perfectly. Down in towards turn 11, braking at the just after the 100-metre ball, chucks the car in, rides the curb on the exit as usual. Now in towards turn 12, just flick it to the right, chuck the car in, and very nice there from Rishan. Obviously, not going as deep as Nelson Alves did, but he comes out at the final corner up towards the line. Obviously on used tyres, so it should be a slow time. Well, slower at least than Nelson. He puts a 17.6 on the board. Typical lap time for used tyres. Sergio, welcome in. I'm very disappointed. I was expecting you to get through to Q3 easily, but you decided not to go through because of a lack of pace. Tamas Gal goes purple in the first sector of 26.4. Great first sector there for Tamas. Obviously one of the quickest upcoming drivers. We've seen him move up the ranks very recently in the last 3 or 4 months, moving himself up now into challengers. Great progression from Tamas. We'll have to see what he can do in this session though. In Q3, obviously would like to take a win possibly in the race, but he can't take a win if he doesn't get through into the top 3 at least. Well, Dylan Warren would say no to that, because he could somehow work from 10th to 1st. Tarish there, 43.9 in the middle and first sector combined. Also, talking about Dylan Warren again, in an EML race, so another Challengers a team event league I did, he started 17th and finished 3rd with a 3-second time penalty. That just shows how good of a race merchant he is. Back to Tamas Gale, out the final couple of corners. What time can Tamas go on the ball? Can he get ahead of Nelson? Up to the line, this will be a great lap, and it will be 16.4. Great lap there for Tamas, putting himself just ahead of the Aston Martin driver, Dylan Warren. He's currently now heading down towards turn 3. So is Jan Halliday. He's now coming actually out of turn 12, but he's invalidated on his lap time. So Jan, obviously not being in front of the track limits and ice wires going round down at turns 6 and 7. Obviously, it's 26.4 for his first set, so that would have been a great lap if he could hook it up. Pookie, 43.906. This will be a good lap time as well. See if he can get ahead of Tamas Gal in the final few corners. Up to the line, where does he go? Up to first with 16.377. Jan Holiday on a lap. He's now currently heading down towards turn 3. Shortly towards turn 4. His teammate Dylan Warren's heading through towards turn 9 and 10. Oh, a bit of a slide there from Jan, though. Doesn't seem to be too up to grips of the track, does he? Seems to be struggling a lot. In the first sector, 26.8. Dylan Warren, however, he's on a lap. Oh, no, he's invalidated. So Dylan not setting a lap. Floris, he's obviously going to set another lap, I believe. Or he'll head back into the pits and come out again. Sabakonye goes 2 thousandths quicker than Rishan Jacob. No, 1.002 seconds quicker than Rishan with a 16.6. I forgot Rishan was in the 17s, but he set the lap with the used tyres, hence why. Dylan spun though down at turn 13. He spun again at entry to turn 14. Reset to track. He'll head back into the pits there. Not the type of driving we normally see from Dylan, but he might have had a bit to drink. We never know. Jan Holiday coming through now in towards turn 13. Obviously invalidated, so he will be heading back into the pits very shortly. There he is, Jan, heading back into the pits. So obviously Ferrari having a typical Ferrari Q3 session so far. Is Van Pookie, he's heading back into the pits as well as he completed his first run. So obviously the top 5 only going out. I think I don't remember seeing Jack West go out at all, but remember the bottom 4 all going out. Obviously not setting times. Not setting a time in Q3 is not ideal at all because it gives everyone else an advantage. And obviously Rishan on a 17.6 is currently P5. So it just shows, obviously, not setting a time, it just helps other people. Obviously, Rishan will be able to improve easily on that because it's, 1.3 seconds off the pole time. Currently, the pole time at least. Obviously, Isfan leading the way ahead of Tamascal by about 40 thousandths of a second. Then Nelson Els, after that mistake in the final corner, would have lost him a good tenth or two. So he's sitting in third, followed by Sabakonyi. He's about 30 thousandths behind him. So very close between first and second, and very close between third and fourth. And then after that, we have Rishan and then the bottom 5 who haven't set a time. Let us know in the chats, who do you think will take pole? I'm going to go for Tamas Gal. I have some faith in him today. I think he can do it. But let us know who you think. It would be very, very interesting to know. I don't think Dylan will set pole because he doesn't seem to perform at top standard when it comes to qualifying. It's normally in the race where Dylan really shines. In every race I've seen him in a lap, every race I've seen Dylan start outside the top 10, he makes himself into the top 3 somehow, nearly every single time. So I should expect a lot from him in the race if he does start in the top 10. Burrito Loco, thanks for the follow. Welcome into the stream. Obviously, as you can see, we're in Q3 now, 3 minutes to go of the Australia qualifying. Void saying go on Rishan, so we've got support for Rishan in the chat. Floris Fires, first to head out onto track for the final runs of Q3. Obviously, Floris should be able to set a pretty good time. He's experienced enough to be able to set a good time, but he's just got to hope he can nail it up in the session itself. Because no matter what you can do in practice, no matter what you've done in the past, if you mess up in the session now, all of that past experience goes to null. It means nothing. And Floris out of turn 8, now heading through in towards turn 9 and 10. The chicane. So, in another words, for a break, we're going to have a little bit of we'll have an audio FX lap. So, as David Croft would say, turn up your sound and listen to the lap from Floris. I need to quickly grab a drink, so I'll be away for this lap. But watch Floris, and we'll see what he can do in his lap. Well, that failed miserably. Flores didn't seem to make the end of sector 1 without invalidating, so he's let off. So we'll move to someone else. We'll watch Dylan Warren. He's on a lap. No, he's not. He's backing up the pack, currently down at turn 11. Jack West, however, is on a lap along with, I believe, Nelson. But we'll stay on board so far with Jack West. And unfortunately, if you directed the message in chat to me, I don't speak Spanish, so I don't know what you're saying. But if it wasn't meant for me, then continue speaking on. With Jack West, 26.4 in the first sector. Obviously, currently down in 6th, not set a lap time just yet. Would hope to get himself into that top 5 at least in this session. I don't think he was meant to be racing originally because he wasn't down on the list. But then all of a sudden he pops into the session at the end. And there we are. Everyone will be able to set a lap time because we can see one of the Red Bulls coming just in line, just before 4 seconds to go. So Flores will have another run. Bit of a side though out of turn 10 for Jack. He's now heads down in towards turn 11. We'll be able to see what he can do in this session. Obviously, behind, I believe, Nelson, who's on a time. Yes, he's up, but was invalidated, so no improvement for Nelson in this session. That's a big shame for Nelson, actually, considering he was really quick. He's not going to improve. Flores is invalidated again. Back to Jack West, so as he comes out the final corner, 44.045 in the final sector. Nelson finishes in 4th. Where can Jack West go? Can he jump Nelson at the line? Yes, he can. Goes provisional 3rd. Flores fires on a lap. No, he's not. Dylan Mon's on a lap, however. He's on a 44.015 for the second selector split. We'll stick on board with Dylan and we'll just see the times crumble down on the board as we go. So I don't want to keep jumping to different drivers every now and then. But still on board with Dylan. I think his teammates coming up to line as well as we come through now in towards the final few corners. That's Jan Halliday. Where can he go? Goes up to 3rd at 16.4. Then we have, I believe, Tamas Gale not improving. He stays 2nd. Then we have one of the Alfa Romeos. Dylan's invalidated, so he won't improve. Bogdan up to 7th. And Dylan spins. Isfan Pookie goes quicker at 16.2. Can Rishan try and deny pole from Isfan? I don't think he can, but we'll see up to line. No, he can't. He goes up to 7th fastest. Sabakonyi, he's 7 seconds down. So that means that Isfan Pookie is our pole sitter for today with a 16.206, followed by Tamash, just 2.03 tenths down, followed by Jan and Jack West and Bent's been the top 5. Great lap time there from Isfan. Also great to see Jan obviously seeming to struggle in the first 2 sessions, but this session peaked up to a 16.4. Sabakonyi also into the top 5. He doesn't really show many, I wouldn't say remarkable performances, but he's always in that top 5, sitting around there, just keeping himself a bit laid down. Jamashkel not improving, unfortunately, on his lap time. And also Jack West getting the time into the top 5, which I said he should have done, and he's done it perfectly well. We look down, we have Nelson Alves obviously looking quickest, I'd say, overall through qualifying, but finishes 6th, followed by Rishan Jacobs in 7th, who improved by a 2nd to a 16.6. Bogdan Molderman starts 8th. Very good there from Bogdan with a 16.7. Flores Fires didn't set a lap time, he starts 9th, followed by Dylan Warren, who didn't set a lap time either. He starts in 10th. And obviously the 2 Hungarians locking out the front row, followed by a Czech and a, what flag's that? Worldwide. So Jack West representing the world today for his car. Also Leo Lund, thanks for the follow. Welcome into the stream. We're about to start the race, so you tuned in just in time at the end of qualifying to view the race. The Australian Grand Prix, for anyone that doesn't know, as I've said before, 29 laps around the Australian Albert Park circuit. And it's broad daylight, so we don't need to worry. Well, it's not going to be a nighttime race anyway, because we don't race at night here, but it won't be raining, which could be a sigh of relief for many drivers. Obviously, they would have got that sigh of relief back in qualifying, but for us, we only get to see this now. Oh, a prediction has came up. Prediction results in. No. Not sure what the prediction was, but yeah, the prediction results for the latest prediction was no. And there we are. So, predict with channel points, Dylan top 5. Right, everyone, get your predictions in. Yes or no. Let's see what you all think, and will you end up benefiting from your bet or not? Bit of Et8 betting going on in the channel right now. Just let us know who you think will take. Well, if you think Dylan will get top 5, I think it's possible to do so, so we'll have to see. But we get ready to start in about 10 seconds. I'm going to get myself a bit of a stretch ready because I feel like this lap is going to be chaotic. We have 3 seconds till the countdown finishes. Then we have to wait for the lobby to update. Then we have to wait for players to load in. And then we consider the grid. So we have 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, and the 5th light. Aston Martin followed by Williams. And it's lights out for the Australian Grand Prix. Great start there from Tamas Gale ahead of Isfan. Actually, no, Isfan got a mega start there. Also, that's Sabakonyi with a good start down the inside into turn 1. Jan Halliday going to try and take 2nd from Tamas Gale, which he can do. Jack West also now trying to hunt down Tamas. Tamas with a really bad start. And the first great initial launch. But then on the second phase, ruined it. Oh, what's happening here? Jack West just moving over to the right and breaking it. He caused an incident there. He drops then to 6. Sabaconyi trying to go through. Jack's still going to fight back. Goes off the track. Then goes up the inside. Rishan Jacobs being spun round down at turn 5. So all chaos. And then that's Flourish Wires deciding to take it for the Japan JDM drifting circuit as he heads through turn 6. Sideways. Oh, big crash. That's someone into the wall. That's the Red Bull. That's Flourish Wires. He's binned it down at turn 7. It looks like what he did was a bit similar to Alex Albon, but hit the opposite wall to what Alex hit there, and that was chaotic indeed. And there's no safety car, because obviously that's no safety cars off, no safety car in Challengers. And we head now through, down in towards turn 11. Jack West on the back of Bent Sabaconyi looking to try and take 5th. Nelson Alves having a great start up to 4th. Great start there. Will Gibson, thanks for the follow. Welcome in, my fellow fat person. Obviously, by the way, that's only a joke. Don't worry, I'm not being offensive. Tamashka looking for second off Jan, nearly hitting Jan round there. That's also going to allow Nelson Alves to try and get a bit of an opportunity out of turn 14. Going to go to the outside line. Can't make anything work just yet. He's going to head down in towards turn 1. Bit of battling going on behind with the McLarens. But send on board with the top guys. Nelson trying to get back through on Jan, but can't do so just yet. Oh, Jan spun. He's lost it down at turn 1 and 2. That's Jan round now, probably out of the session. Harlem retires in the pit lane as you now go through in towards turn 3. Incident. Yeah, oh, big incident. That's Sven going into the wall there with, I believe, one of the Haas. No, it wasn't the Haas. It was someone, though. Literally taking each other into the wall for a bit of a trip. This is absolute chaos. No, guys, it's not F1 Open Lobbies. Please drive properly. Jan trying to get back through on Theon there, down at turn 7. Getting himself back through into 9th after that spin. But at the moment, it's like watching the IRL. Restart. And it's restart. Oh, we've got to restart. Oh, I think, well, at least I've been told. Yes, we do have a restart. So I hope that was done on purpose, because that first lap was like watching the real Australian Grand Prix. Sven decided to catapult someone into turn 3. Floris went straight on into the wall at turn 7. Jan spun down at turn 2. Everything went on that first race. What's the reason? We don't know what the reason. Well, I don't know what the reason is, because I was unaware. I just thought people taking each other out for the fun of it. But yeah, we're going to restart. Yeah, don't know why yet. We'll find out soon. I know the predictions changed to podium for Dylan. So, yeah, I don't know why that prediction got changed, but it has. Ooh, but, Dylan's game frozen tyre selection. So that's why Dylan, yet again, causing trouble. What a surprise. So hopefully we get started shortly. Yet again. Obviously, issues coming into play as usual with this game. And yes. And Joseph Loke saying, can I race? But with a full lobby, so I don't think you can. And lots of chatting on in the Discord chat. Yes, many people annoyed. Have a look at Nissan here with Floris. Oh, Floris going. He actually went off track to try and overtake Jack down at turn 5. But yeah, what a start that was. Spook DNB, thanks for follow. Welcome in. We should be getting started shortly. I would put my camera on, but I haven't got a screen for it, unfortunately, so I can't. We should be getting off again shortly. I'm just trying to find Dylan on my screen. Now he's in the lobby, so I believe that means we are getting underway. Soon at least. We had a legal overtakes at turn 1. We had people taking out, well, someone said they took out 5 cars. Push to pass going on. People having their rear ends touched, as it says in the chat. I'm not sure what that's referring to. And also Jack West being eaten up at the start as well by having about 4 cars in his vicinity. But yeah, that was an interesting start to the race, to say the least. A bit like, it's just like Australia. Every time I race at Australia, IRL, esports, wherever, it seems to always create a chaotic start. And here, obviously has, as well. Just trying to And now we're also trying to find someone to send the grid. Oh no. That's not ideal at all. We haven't even got the starting grid. Oh, no, I think he's got it because he's deleted the message. I'll have to see. Yeah, hopefully we get started shortly. And, oh, just got a that notification on the screen. And yeah, I'm hoping we can get beginning shortly. We've got 11 drivers in. And if someone can't race, I think Josie Floke might be racing. I'm not sure. I'll have to see. Yeah, Dylan's game was frozen. That's why. But I can see many angry faces. Well, I can't see many angry faces, but I can see many angry messages about us restarting. We've got 16 in, 17 in. I think it'll be the same grid as obviously it will be the same qualifying grid as last time. And just waiting on 3 more people to get in. We'll figure out in a sec when we look at the. So for the both Ferraris, which is Dylan. Oh no, they just haven't selected a car. So Dylan and Jan haven't selected their car. We're waiting for Aston Martin Santi some Pookie. Waiting for an Alfa Romeo, that's Harlan Marquis, and also the Haas, which I. Who is the Haas now? Really can't remember, but we're waiting for the other Haas as well to join. We've got 19 in, so just one more remaining. Ika and Dylan. Ika was the other Haas, that was it. Ika Bueno. And also Dylan. But he's got to set up the grid as well, once everyone's in. But many people say, please don't do car sign into turn 1 and Leclerc into turn 2. Well, it's Leclerc into turn 3, I think it means. But yeah, probably wouldn't be a good idea. I believe he went for Harlem. Not sure if he's racing. Josie Float seemed a bit eager to be able to race here today. Let's see. Is Harlem going to race or not? Dylan's also sorting the grid out as well. Harlem's gone on to Do Not Disturb. And he's gone off the game. I think that's not a good sign. Alex has sent a message to Harlem to see if he will be joining us. And if he doesn't join, Josie Float will be stepping into the Alfa Romeo. Well, hopefully we can begin soon. Yep, Josie Float has been given the all clear to join the lobby. As Harlem has either said, I'm not racing, or he wants to. He's either said he's not racing, or he just hasn't responded. So yeah, we will be getting started soon. We've got 20 drivers in. Is that Joseph? Yes, it is. To be fair, I haven't seen Joseph at all in terms of where I've commentated. So this is nice. Commentator of a new driver. Obviously, I think Joseph's in, I think, is it GB4 or GB3, I think, or Formula 3? I believe he races for one of them at least, I know. I think it might be GB4. Pretty sure it is, but I don't know. I'm not the expert of the feeder series. Yeah, we've got everyone in, so we should be beginning very shortly. I'm sorry for the boringness the last 5 minutes has been, but when there's just one commentator, it's very hard to keep talking because there's nothing to talk about. Which you've talked about all of it during qualifying and after qualifying. Yeah, I believe we are getting ready to begin shortly. And yeah, we can go. Dylan says, but would be recommended for picks this car, which he has. So I'm going to go all 20 cars, and we've got the grid order set. And we can get ready for the race. Right, we're getting ready. Unite, hello, welcome into the stream. We're about to just begin the race, so you've tuned in just in time. And for the second time at the Australian Grand Prix, on lap 1 again, I will be able to call the start. And this time, let's hope we don't see 74 million cars get tucked down at turn 1. And 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, where we saw many cars crash last time. So waiting for place to load in, just going to get a few in. We'll soon start the countdown for 30 seconds if it takes that long. And we have just 3 cars, Liam and Tamash now, going into 2. And there we are, Liam's after session. That's not great, is it? Someone's been kicked out at the start. So the loading's complete. We need to wait for setups and all that jazz to be sorted out. The strategies, setups, everything. Because remember, for many drivers in here, this is practice for challengers. So it's not just nothing. You know, there's some meaning behind it for many drivers. Some in here as a wild card, they won't be really focusing too much goal because they're just here to, well, fill in and have a fun, interesting race. As we can see, all the pit crew lining up. Well, inside of each other, down at the exit of the pit garages. Obviously, all the wheel guns and tyres all sitting there waiting. And we should be getting ready to begin the Melbourne Grand Prix, the Australian Grand Prix, the Albert Park Grand Prix, whatever you want to call it, in about 30 seconds maximum, because we have 20 seconds till the countdown gets to 0. Then we can see the cars on the grid and we call them off. And hopefully then into turn 1 we don't see 50 cars crash and they all make it through perfectly fine. Obviously, this is where Thomas had a really bad start at the initial launch, so hopefully this time round he can get a better start and hopefully try and get the P2 into turn 1. But now the countdown has got to 0. Look at the grid. It's an Aston Martin Visan alongside Tamash Go. We have 3 lights, 4 lights, 5th lights for the second time. It's the Australian Grand Prix and it's Show Me. Oh, we've had desync issues already. But Miss Van Peek getting a great start there. Jan Hade up into second also. Tamas having another bad start. Down at turn 1. Allows Jan into second. We go through yet again. And this time it's Jack West into the wall. He's hit the wall down at exit at turn 2. Not the start he would have wanted. We've had many collisions already. Floris up into 6th. He's fighting with Bent Sabaconi for 7th. Down in towards turn 4, going a little bit wide. They're going to be deep in the corner. He keeps the position ahead of Rishan Jacobs now, who's also trying to fight through. And Floris, look further up. Jan also being catched up by Tamas Gal. Now, obviously, Tamash having a really bad start yet again, just not getting the launch he would have wanted and having to stick behind Jan. Also, we've got Sven Schumacher fighting with Bogdan. Bogdan's dropped down the grid. He's now down in 11th. They go with 3 wide here, through into turn 10. This is Sergio, Bogdan and Theon, I believe, all fighting up towards turn 9. We'll see if they go side by side. We've got Cameron, whoever, fighting with Sven Schumacher for 9th position, through into turn 9. They make it through perfectly fine. Bogdan also trying to get through on them now, as he got a bit of a good run through there. Joseph Loke also catching on the back of Sergio Sobrino as they head now down in towards turn 11. Joseph, having a great start. Also need to get through, and his teammates going 3 wide through in towards turn 12. Who's going to make it through? I think they all will, but we might have a bit of contact. Bogdan being pushed off. Also, Sergio being pushed off there by Joseph. Also, Sergio just driving into the back of Joseph down at turn 14. Yeah, again, not the best start we would have wanted, but hopefully after all this it calms down. And looking further down, Sergio trying to fight through Liam. Liam's got the go to that car because he's not in the session still. Also, Noel getting through on Vincent down towards turn 1. Jack West fighting with Liam Stevens. Obviously, Liam's still at the session. Had a spin from Vincent. He's lost it down at turn 1. Tamash still trying to catch up onto the back of Jan Halliday. His fans had a great couple laps. Already pulled the gap to 6.5 tenths. So that's definitely what he would have wanted. Floris trying to gain on the back of Tamash Gout through in towards turn 7. Obviously taking the fastest first sector so far. Let's sort everything out. There we are. He's going to come through down in towards turn 9. The top 5 still consists of Nelson, Floris, Tamash, Jan and Istvan. Great start from those guys. Another spin, that's I believe Vincent Nightfist again down at turn 5. We'll look at the position change on the first couple of laps. Big change on the field. Jack West drops down 13 after having an incident down at turn 2. Joseph Oak's got a 3-second time penalty. He's moved up 6. So has Ika Baena. 5 up for Theon. 4 down for Bogdan. 5 down for Liam and Sergio. So many changes on the grid. But the driver who's made the most improvement, Ika, up to 13th. Also an overtake there between Joseph and Cuba. Also another spin down for Vincent down at the exit of turn 11. The exit of turn 10, sorry. Isan Puka takes the fastest lap. Floris Fires getting through on Tamash Gal. That's down at before turn 1, actually. Floris obviously must have used a lot of VRS there to make that work, which he did looking at tyres. Oh, no. Correct me. Floris is on the mediums. So he's going to have a great run this first stint to try and get through in the field at least and try and pull a gap. So hence why Floris could fly past Tamash. Also, we've got Richard Jacobs trying to catch on the back of Nelson Alves for 5th position. And further down, Sergio fighting with Jack West. Jack West has had another incident because he's now down to 18th. He's all... Oh, what's he... I don't know what Jack West is doing there down at turn... Oh, wait, I don't think Jack's in the session. Could have been AI there. I'm very confused. But looking back at the top, Rishan gaining to the back of Nelson. The gap's about 2 tenths. Jack West has left the session, so he's had some issues with his internet. So has Liam Stevens. So we only really have 17 runners in the race because Vincent's retired in the pit lane. But we head now out of turn 10. Rishan, a 10th.5 behind Nelson, but just can't get what he wanted down to turn 11, so he'll have to stick behind just for now. Looking further up still. Jan, he's actually gained a bit of time now on the back of his fun due to the DRS, back into 3 tenths. Floris also wanted to try and capitalise and get through on Jan and also possibly Istvan if he can have the pace to do so. As we come out, and obviously Floris is going to have way better traction out of turn 14, you can see, because of the better tyres. Comes out of turn 14, a lot more straight line speed. Let's see. I don't think he's close enough yet into turn 1. No, he's not. We'll have to see if he's close enough into turn 3, though. As you can see, just riding the back of the Ferrari there. Coming out of turn 2, using his DRS. Oh, I think that's Jan just kind of letting Floris through. Kind of turned his DRS off, didn't he, down to turn 3? So probably thinking, yeah, probably not best to fight Floris because Floris is quicker. But we'll stay on board with Floris, see if he can catch up to the back of Istvan. Also, an incident that's for Joseph Floki. He's spun round. He's dropped down to 18th position. Nelson Alves with a 3-second time penalty. That would drop him outside the top 10. Would put Rishan up into 5th, which would be really great for Rishan, wouldn't it? In this Grand Prix so far. Looking further down there, Tamash Gal still trying to hunt down Jan Halliday. Obviously, they were originally 1st, 2nd and 3rd, but obviously Floris with the mediums has jumped up to 2nd. He could also be looking to try and get through an Istvan Pookie and take up 1st. Let's see what happens, though, as they come out to turn 10. DRS open for Floris. Can he try and catch up to the back of Istvan? He's going to catch up, but not enough to get through, so he sticks behind for now. Actually lets off. Going to turn 11, he knows there's no point pushing the tyres through if you're not going to make it anyway. Dylan fighting with Ben Sabacunia. Let's see for 7th position through into turn 12. Oh, Ben's actually tried to keep the inside line there, but just couldn't hold it on. That was close to contact between him and Dylan, but Dylan up into 7th. Got to get back into the 1-second gap of Richard Jacobs, but I don't think he can. This could be an opportunity for Benso to try and get the DRS and get back through, because no DRS for Dylan. There is DRS for Benz. So we'll have to see what happens down into turn 1. If Dylan can get the DRS down to turn 3, because I believe this is a double detection zone. So, yep, no DRS for Dylan, but there is DRS for Bence, but obviously he's unfortunately not close enough. Change for the lead. That's Floris going through on Istvan Pukki on the medium tyres. That was more of a when, not an if. Floris getting through, but puts himself into the top spot. Now he's going to try and draw out that gap to over a second. That's the key part for Floris. If not, the strategy might not work as he hoped. So he's got to get this gap to over a second. But Istvan, great pace. He's not going to let that go too easily. Jan also. If Istvan gets outside the 1 second gap, this could be they could give Jan a possibility to try and take second ahead of Istvan as they head through now in towards turn 9 and 10. Tamas Gal sitting just two tenths behind Jan, so he's starting to gain a bit more pace now on the back of Jan Halliday. We'll see the ERS for the top 4. 73% for Tamas, 83% for Jan Halliday, 78 for Istvan, and 43 for Floris. Obviously, Floris will use more because he's got the newer tyres, so he wants to push a lot more. But we head through in towards the final corner. Tamas actually gaining a lot on Jan. 3 tenths is the gap between those two. And Sergio Sobrino gets a 3-second time penalty. That's down at turn 14. He'll drop down to 16th behind Noel Carman because the gap after that is 4 seconds, so he doesn't need to worry about the gap to Liam Stevens. They head through. Dylan Warren still touch and go with that DRS to the back of Richard Jacobs. Josie Float goes fastest to 20.3. Sergio's actually had an incident at turn 2. He's spun, and he's now going to be overtaken by Liam Stevens' AI. So that's Sergio now down into the back of practically at the back of the grid. Josie Float has DNF'd on track, so that's his day done and dusted for now. Obviously no safety car, so we don't need to worry about cars stopping on track at all, because the race just continues as normal, just with the yellow flags on track. Jack West, however, won't finish last now. He'll actually be able to finish in 18th, even though I don't think his car's actually on track. I don't think it's actually him driving because of his AI, because of him having the incident down at turn 2. Either that was due to him or he had AI, because then he started acting really weird down at turn 4. So I'm not quite sure if that was him or the AI. But looking further up, Istvan 6 tenths to Flow, so he's actually able to stick within the 1 second gap. But barely though. Jan nearly losing the 1 second gap to Istvan. We'll see, is Istvan used DRS to keep up? He's used DRS to keep up, sorry. And there we are, he's on 40%. Jan sticking with about 50%. He wants to keep that DRS barely on the back of Istvan if he can, as they head down into turn 1. We'll see Sergio try and get through on Liam Stevens. Down at turn 1, of course. All down at turn 3. We'll have to see when he gets the best opportunity to do so. Heading out at turn 14 with the DRS. Kuba Tresiak gets a 3-second time penalty, so he'll lose a position out to Noel Carman, so he'll jump up to 4th provisionally in the race. Looking further up, Istvan still trying to hunt down Floris Fires. Obviously Floris 8 tenths ahead now, so he's starting to increase that gap slowly, but just not the gap that he would have wanted. Theoretically, he would have wanted that gap to be over a second a lap ago, not now, because it's only 5 tenths now because of this advantage that Istvan gets under DRS. But the thing he's got is he's used a lot more ERS now, so that's, kind of drained his ERS usage, even though realistically he was on 80% 3 laps ago, so because of that he's had to use more just to stick with Floris. So that's the compromisation he's had to use to stick with him. Tamas has used a little bit less ERS, so he's on 60%. He's charging back behind Jan Halliday. Liam Stevens having a bit of a battle there with Sergio Sobrino down in towards turn 11. Looking down, we'll look at the position change again on this after 8 laps of the race. There we are. So Dylan up by 3, Theon up by 6, Jose Cabana. So Theon and Eka having the best start of all, along with Floris. Oh, Tamas Gal going off track there. Noel Coleman's retired in the pit lane, so that's him out of the race. Sergio also going into the pit lane, so he will probably retire. He's got a 5-second penalty. Yes, he does. So now that brings it down to 15 runners. But yeah, obviously the people making the most benefit, Theon and Eka. Cuba up by 4, Cameron and Dylan up by 3, and obviously Floris up by 8, but he's got the new tyres, hence why he can have such a big advantage. And Tamas going off track yet again. Tamas cutting the track multiple times there, going through. And that's the McLaren and the Haas's retire cars coming back onto track to retire on track. Jack's AI getting through on the 2 of them, puts him up to 16th. Floris Vyers gets a 3-second time penalty. That is not what he would have wanted at all, considering he went for the the alternate strategy to try and get through, and it's now going to not perfect at all because he got that penalty. Unless everyone else behind gets penalties, this is Floris's race pretty much ruined. Could get a top 10, but it ain't going to be top 3 at all. As we go through. And Nelson actually closing up on Tamash. Tamash lost a little bit of pace. He was gaining a lot actually on Jan, but he seemed to lose a bit of pace in the last couple of laps, having a couple of mistakes down at I believe at turn 1. Also, Rishan has lost the DRS to Nelson Alves, so this is an opportunity for Dylan Warren to try and get through and get himself into the top 6. I'll have to see what the strategy is from Dylan, because maybe he might. I don't know whether it's worth him getting through and then go for DRS again, or if it's worth sticking behind. We'll have to see what the ambition is from Dylan. But at the moment, the gap's nearly touch and go between the 1 second between Richard and Nelson, so it could be viable for Dylan to get through and then try and get back into the DRS. You can see though using more ERS to catch up with Rishan. Rishan using lots of his ERS to catch up with Nelson. Obviously Rishan on 25%, Nelson on 40%, so if needs be, Nelson can use more to get that gap ahead as we head through and then in towards turn 9 and 10. Dylan, 9/10 back, so he's losing a bit of time now, so he's got to catch up, but he has got DRS. Rishan also has now, so he's got back into that DRS, which is crucial for Rishan in this race. As we go through now into towards turn 12, obviously the top 3, Floris, Istvan Jan. On the normal strategy, it's Istvan Jan, Tamash. Obviously on the alternate strategy, Floris is the leader, but because of the penalty, it technically drops him outside that first position. So net leader, I suppose you could say, is Istvan, followed by Jan and Tamash, which would be great for Jan considering he had such a poor race in Bahrain in both the Et8 Challengers Cup and the F1 Esports Challengers. Rishan gets a 3-second time penalty, so now that drops him behind Fionn, I think. In the outside the top 10, Dylan now has both the position over Nelson and Rishan, so currently looking for a provisional top 5. Rishan's now lost DRS heavily to Nelson. The gap's 1.3. So if the gap starts like this, Dylan needs to get through on Rishan because he's going to start losing time. If so, it just seems Rishan doesn't have the pace to match what Nelson and the other train can do ahead. So it's time yet again for Dylan to try and make a pass. It'll obviously be down at either turn 11 or turn 1 on the next lap. Definitely won't be through there. And I don't think it will be down to turn 11. I don't think he's going to get close enough. We'll see though as he comes down in towards turn 11. Yeah, nowhere near enough. So it'll be down to turn 1 or turn 3. Turn 3 is probably the most viable option because that's the best place to try and get through. The safest place. But Rishan also having a slide through turn 11, so that's going to compromise him and also going to bring the gap closer between Rishan and Dylan. You can see Rishan sliding around a lot, so is Dylan. They're both having lots of slides, so pushing heavily. That's Cameron Days into the pit lane. He'll be going on to mediums a bit early in the race, but that's the strategy Cameron wants to take. As we go through now, down into turn 3. Dylan not close enough to Rishan. Locks up though. Went a little bit too deep on the brakes there. That will lose him time, but Rishan losing lots of time now to Nelson. So it's critical for Dylan to get through. Ben Savakonya now also being held up by Dylan as well. He's currently in 8th, lost a couple of positions on the start, but looking to try and gain them back. As he now heads out at turn 8 as well, following Dylan Warren. As they come up to turn 9, also Ika Bayana following closely to the back of Sven Schumacher. Let's see, can Ika try and get through? Put himself into 11th, it'd be nice considering he started near the back of the field. I think no, actually he started 20th, didn't he? Because he didn't set a time. So we'll just have to see what he can do. Can he get through and Sven and put himself up 9 positions gained? He's going to have the DRS, he's going to have the better straight line speed into turn 11, brakes later, chucks it up the inside. Sven's sorry, going a little bit wide out onto the off track, but that's there. Fair move from Ika. And Cuba also now having another 3-second time penalty. He's still down in 13th, won't improve, I don't believe. Oh no, he's pitting, so he's going to have to sacrifice himself and go a bit earlier. Oh no, Cuba's retired, so he knows, there's no point in racing. He's got the 6 seconds, I believe it was. And he's in 13th, so there's no point in fighting for any sort. Trap position. Sorry for the audience, I've been really tired all day. Hence why I'm not as top quality comms at the moment. It's 9 o'clock, nearly 9 o'clock as well, so a late one for me tonight. But we're coming through. Dylan trying to catch back onto the back of Rishan. Still, the gap 2.1 seconds, so it's growing ever so slightly every lap. Dylan's just got to make a run for it, hasn't he? He's got to use a bit of ERS, so sacrifice some of that ERS usage just to try and shoot through Dylan Rishon and then try and catch up to the train ahead. Tamash Gal with a 3-second time penalty. So that's not good at all. But because all the penalties behind, this makes Floris's penalty less less of a disadvantage to him. Also, Dylan Moran there getting through around the outside on Rishan. Nothing Rishan could do. Kind of let Dylan through, I think, at that point to try and get a bit of DRS advantage as they come through down to turn 1 shortly again. Nelson also getting on the back of Tamash. Isfan, crucially, outside 1 seconds to Floris now. So this gives an advantage for Jan Halliday to try and get through. We'll stick on board with Rishan to see if he can go for a move down to turn 1 on Dylan. Don't think he can, no he can't. Dylan having a bit more grip, I think, going down out of turn 14. That's what he would have wanted at least. Into turn 1. Rishan getting into about 3/10. Seems to be able to get some better exit over Rishan. Rishan losing time on the exits, but obviously able to gain time under DRS into turn 3. Dylan Warren, though, gets a 3-second time penalty. That is not what he wants. Many people getting penalties so far. This track, really easy to get penalties. So that's not what the drivers want at all. Allows Sabakonyi, though, to possibly get up to 4th from penalties. Isfan and Jan are clear now for penalties. And Floris only got to realistically drop down a couple positions. Because he's 3 seconds ahead of Sabakonyi at least. And the penalties from 4th to 7th kind of counter each other. So he'll only drop down to 3rd. So Floris could still try and snatch a podium here in this race. And the lap car there of Jack West being overtaken by Rishan. Down at turn 11. Liam Stevens with a 3-second time penalty. So not what he would have wanted. That's Cameron Dowds going into the pit lane again. Floris fires pits now onto some hards. So this is now where we can see what Floris can do on this new set of tyres. Obviously the other pitting onto mediums, so that gives them an advantage when it comes to, first of all, having better new tyres, because the mediums are easier to warm up than the hards, and second of all, over the stint, the mediums are quicker than the softs. I mean the hards, sorry. Bogdan onto some new mediums. So is Bent Sabakonyi, so he's pitted early for the hard runners. And further back, that's Nelson Alves. Looking to just gain a little bit more on Tamash. The gap between those is under 5/10. Mika Bayana gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. So everyone getting penalties left, right and centre so far in this race. Jan gaining a lot into the back of Isfan Pookie now. As they come out of turn 9 and 10, heading down towards turn 11. We're just about to reach the halfway stage of the race now. So this is where pit stops will happen. Round lap 14 down to around lap 18 is where everyone should have pitted onto new tyres. We'll have to see which one of these is going to be first to pit. None of them pit, none of the top 4. No, Jan pits. So he goes into the pit lane to go to some new tyres. So is Nelson Alves. Tamash Gal stays out. Does Dylan want to stay? Yes, no, he doesn't. Rishan stays out. Fion goes into the pit lane. Gabina goes into the pit lane. Sven. Floris obviously can stay out. He can take the lead. Well, jump up to 5th at least from these guys. Let's see where he comes out compared to Nelson. Should be significantly ahead for Floris. Which is significantly ahead. He's also ahead of Jan. But how much by is he ahead of Jan? He's actually ahead of Jan by nearly 2 seconds. So that works great for Floris now. 2.1 seconds ahead of Jan. That should also put him about 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds ahead of Isfan Pookie when he decides to pit. So this has worked out perfectly for Floris Fires. Obviously got to warm his tyres up a bit more. Jan also needs to warm his tyres up, so he'll lose a bit of time on this next, well, I'd say this half of the lap before the tyres get warmed up. You can see obviously losing more time now down to 2.6 seconds. Nelson just outside the 1 seconds out yet to Jan. Nelson gets another 3-second time penalty, so that puts him to 6 seconds worth. And Nelson tries to just get back in that DRS of Jan, but can't do so just yet. The gap's 1.1. Obviously, it needs to be less than a second to get the DRS advantage. Tamash Gal, obviously not pitting just yet. Neither is Isfan Pookie. As we head through now into the final couple of corners, Tamash Gal pitting, Isfan staying out still. Dylan Warren pits. Does Rishan pit? No, he doesn't. He stays out. Does Floris pit? Obviously, no, he doesn't. No, ignore me that. Floris won't pit at all because because he got his new tyres. We'll see though where Floris comes out ahead compared to Tamash Gal. At the pit lane, Flores comes out ahead, way clear to Tash, doesn't he? Jan also gets ahead, so does Nelson. Oh, Nelson there nearly hitting Tamas Gal at the pit lane. That was a close one there. But Nelson getting through into 5th position now ahead of Tamas Gal. Tamas having a compromised pit stop there, obviously losing positions. Not what he wanted. He was right within the touching distance of Jan. He's now about 2 seconds back of Jan, sitting behind Nelson Elves. Flores with another 3-second time penalty. That puts him to 6 seconds worth. So that's really ruined it for Flores now. Jan just sitting within 1.1 seconds to Flores. Going to try and gain to about, I think, well, he wants to gain into 1 second at least. What was pole? Pole was a 16.2. A 16.206, I believe, from Istvan Pukki, who's currently leading the race. 3.8 seconds ahead of Rishan. We'll be looking to probably pit this lap. Thanks, Andre, for the follow. Welcome in. Phil McKeep with a 3-second time penalty, so that will drop him down behind Bogdan. And people like Cameron, Bogdan, Bence also get this advantage of having no penalties, which really helps him in the race at the end. It's on pits now. He'll come out. Let's see where does he come out compared to Floris. You can see him there, just coming out the pit lane. He'll come out really far behind, won't he? Comes out behind Nelson, comes out behind Tamas, comes out just ahead of Bence. So we'll see. Does Bence get an opportunity to try and get through because of the penalties? And sorry, because of the newer tyres. Bence, I believe that was all. Tamas gets another penalty. Coming down to turn 3. Istvan 1.4 seconds back of Tamas, so he needs to gain time. Obviously, with the newer tyres, they've got to get up to heat, so that will cost him a few tenths over the course of the next lap. Bence, however, gaining a lot on Istvan, so knows this is his chance. Nelson with another penalty. We'll look at the penalties. We'll see there, 9 seconds for Nelson. 6 for Floris and Tamas. 3 for Rishan. Obviously takes the lead of the race, but he needs to pit. He'll come out far behind these guys, I think. And we'll see. Can Bence try and get an opportunity on Istvan? Because technically, Istvan, Istvan and Jan have been the top 3 anyway due to penalties. They've got a really good advantage on penalties. Dylan Warren go through around the outside though. Didn't see that one coming. Dylan Warren trying to get through on Bence. Can he try and make it work? He's going to have the inside line into turn 13. And let's see who gets out ahead. Bence has got the inside though into turn 14, so this compromises Dylan. Dylan could go for a switch back. Rishan Jacobs being overtaken by Floris due to the pit stop. Bence under pressure still from Dylan. Dylan not able to get through just yet. Could go for a run down to turn 3. He's got a better exit, got more ERS, but he can't gain enough. Floris though being overtaken by Jan. So this tyre advantage that Floris had at the start is heavily not paid off at all, because now Jan has gone from being 2.2 seconds behind to 5 tenths ahead. So now the main thing for Jan is just to try and keep in touching. Floris is just to try and keep in touching distance of Jan. Halliday, Liam Stevens with a penalty, 3 seconds. But look at this issue though that Istvan's got. He was leading the race. He's now 1.7 seconds behind Nelson. We'll look at gap to leader. If you run from leader to being 4 seconds back, which really isn't what he wants at all. Not what he wants. Rishan drops outside the top. Well, drops in towards just about the top 10. He'll drop outside the top 10. He'll drop then to 12th because of Bogdan and Sven's advantage from no penalties. Cameron looks like he'll try and get through, and at least Dylan Warren, due to his penalty, and Istvan, due to penalties, will jump up ahead of Floris, Tamas, and Nelson. And so will Bence. So Bence will look for a P3 at the moment, which would be a great performance from him. Floris just trying to follow the slipstream of Jan there, down to turn 1. Obviously, the gap's just 5 tenths between the two. Into turn 1. Floris obviously doing pretty well to keep up with Jan with the tyre disadvantage he has now. But you can also see Tamas is starting to gain a little bit more on Floris. The gap's 1.2, it was 1.6. Obviously, we've got 10 laps to go. So the lead could change massively in these next few laps. The final 10 laps, people will be putting their elbows out a bit more, for a bit more of a risk to try and get through. For someone like Istvan, if he catches up to this train, second to third to fourth, there'd be no point in even trying to make a move on those guys, because it could cost him time. It could also give him a collision maybe if they have a bit of a harsh battle. So it's just better just to sit behind because he knows he's going to get the P3 anyway. Well, the P2 anyway because of the penalties. Liam Stevens takes the fastest lap with a 1:19.188. Yeah, as I was saying, Istvan knows he's going to get the position through penalties, so there's no point in really pushing too hard to try and get through. As we head through to begin lap 20 of the Australian Grand Prix. Still, Jan Holiday leads with Floris Vaz in second, Tamasco in third, and Nelson Alves in fourth. But because of their 6 and 9 second penalties, that promotes Istvan Pukki up to second, and Ben Savakoni up to third. Will also could possibly promote Cameron Davis up to fourth as well, because he's going to get through on Dylan Warren. So he's looking like a great opportunity there for Cameron. Also, could be an opportunity for Dylan to try and jump through because of him only having 3 seconds less. So he's looking really good at the moment for Cameron. We come through now down towards turn 9. Tamash obviously gaining a bit more now on the back of Flourish, right behind Flourish. Can we see Tamash try and make a move to get through? I don't think he will yet. Liam Stevens gets a 3-second tyre penalty and he retires in the pit lane. So that will now put Jack West's car up into 14th. Also, we've got Dylan and Bence fighting yet again for 6th position. Dylan through on Bence. But let's see, can Bence try and fight back? Possibly down to turn 1. The gap's about a 10th or 2 between these, so close enough for Bence to try and have an advantage down to turn 1 with the DRS. Also, Cameron tried to defend from Theo McKee into turn 1. Bence not close enough just yet to get through, but could have a run down to turn 3 if he can keep it. Oh, that's a bit of a slider. So that's the issue that he had. You know, loses time. This could also allow Cameron to try and get through on Bence. Let's see, can Cameron get through on Bence Savakoni down to turn 3? No, he can't. But he's going to try and just stick it in there. As they come through into turn 4, now into turn 5. The gap between Bence and Dylan, over a second. So this is now crucial for Cameron to try and get past Bence, where he's got no advantage of DRS. As we go through out to turn 8, well, out to turn 7 into turn 8. Nelson Alves with another 3-second time penalty. That puts him up to 12 seconds. Got through on Tamash though, but it puts him to. It drops him really far down the field, doesn't it? Drops him. Actually, could drop him outside the top 10 because of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it'll drop him to. It'll drop him to 8th because of the guys that haven't got penalties. But it could drop him further down actually because of the. Obviously, Fian, Rishan, and Ika only have 3 seconds, so it could drop him outside the top 10 easily for Nelson, which is not what he wanted. But obviously, the main focus as well is race, pace, practice. So the drivers might not be too, too bothered about getting these penalties. Rishan gets another 3 seconds. He's now down 6 seconds, so he'll drop behind. He'll drop behind Ika. He'll drop down to last, ahead of his teammate though. We head down to turn 1 yet again. Tamash trying to hunt down. Nelson Alves into turn 1. Obviously, these two trading positions recently. Tamash still looking to gain, can't get through just yet. And we head down in towards turn 3. Jan though, best of them all. Great so far for him. Obviously going to be leading the race heavily because of the penalties behind. So even if you just say he gets overtaken fair and square by Floris, then he's still going to take the win. Gets overtaken by Nelson, would still keep the win. Gets overtaken by Tamas, still keeps the win. So he doesn't really need to worry. He's got a big... obviously, the gap between him and his fans is 1.8 seconds. But he's got 3 cars in between, which makes it heavily difficult now. So unless Jan makes a great mistake on these last few laps, this is pretty clear going to be Jan's win. Tamashka gets another 3-second time penalty, that puts him up to 9 seconds. Dylan Warren with another 3-second time penalty, that puts him up to 6 also. Bit of a battle here, that's Isfan getting through on Tamashgal. Tamash just letting Isfan through there. Then at turn 11. So Isfan's going to be now looking to hunt down his teammate. Nelson Az will see if Isfan can try and get through, but he's got 5 laps to get through to Jan. Then he's also got the same 5 laps to get past Jan. So it's going to be a fight for the lead, I think, because Isfan's got more pace than the top. Well, more pace than Nelson. He's got more pace than Floris because of Floris's tyres. They're now lapping the lapped car of Jack West, who's obviously not in the session. He's left. Here we are. Isfan looking for a move. Can he get through on his teammate? No, he doesn't. He sits back for now. He was going to look for a move into turn 9, but thought, yeah, it's not worth ruining the race if we collide. So now he's going to have to try and get into turn 11. More ERS, more speed. Goes up the inside. Nearly a bit of contact between the two into turn 11. Oh, Isfan also got a bit deep. Nearly hitting off. That was Floris nearly hitting too. And also Nelson keeps ahead though. And still another penalty for Ikabayana. He goes up to 6 seconds now. Fion getting through on Bent Sabakonye down at turn 11, but still Isfan right in the back of Nelson still. Still trying to get through, but just can't do so yet at all. He'll have to try and get it then into turn 3 because he can't do it into turn 1, of course. So turn 3 is the next opportunity for him. Breaks later up the inside. Can he get through? I think he's going to stick, but Nelson's still going to stick through it though. He's always a bit of a slide, so has to back out. So we are Isfan picking now into the top 3, technically the top 2, because of Floris's penalties, but also Ikawana leaving the session there, so that will be him basically out of the race now because he'll drop down because of his AI. We'll keep on board with Isfan, see what he can do, see if he can try and catch back up to Floris. And get through, because then we'd have a right battle for the lead between Jan and Isfan. So then Warren with another 3-second time penalty. Just 4 laps remaining, so, well, 3 after this one, 26, 20. So we've got 20, begin lap 26 of the race. Jan Halliday still leads ahead of Floris and ahead of Isfan, the top 3. The top 3 provisionally, though, is Jan, Isfan, and Bent Sabakonyi. Cameron Day is looking for a 4th position. Also, could be a possibility for Sven to take 5th. Fion also looking in midst of a 6th position because of his penalties not being as severe as the others. So we'll see a big change around at the end. We know for a fact he's going to be 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, but then after that, it all changes about. But now we head through Isfan within a 2nd of the leader, within 5/10 of Floris Fires. So now we'll have to see what Isfan can do. Can he get through? Because if he wants to get through on Jan for the win, he needs to get through on Floris. And I don't think at the moment Isfan's thinking for 2nd. He's thinking for 1st because he knows he can do it. He had the pace in quali. He's had the pace in the race to work back up the field through on Dylan Warren upwards, so he can get Floris with these tyres. And we'll have to see when he chooses to do so, though, because he's only got limited time now. Lap 27 at 29. The time for him to do so is closed down heavily. So he's going to have to gain. He's 4/10 in now. Best opportunity is down to turn 3. So the only realistic opportunity, at least, is down to turn 3. There it's open. 4/10 between the two. 3/10 between the two, I have to say. Down into turn 1. Jan still keeps ahead of Floris. We'll have a look now at the gap to aerial interval. 4/10 between Floris and Jan. 4/10 between Istvan and Floris. Cameron Dowds gets a 3-second time penalty, so that now drops him out of contention for third. Yeah, lots of penalties here. 9, 9, 12, 9, 3, 3, 6, 3, 6. So I'm sure the teams will be having lots of word of the drivers saying, hang on, have you got 12 seconds of penalties? Or have you got 9 seconds of penalties? But also it's also due to race practice, so they might, you know, push a bit too hard all the time and go off track. We don't know. We got through into turn 9. Floris gaining more on Jan. Could possibly try and get through on Jan to give him an opportunity. Nelson Elves with another 3-second time penalty. That's 15 seconds now for Nelson. So that's 15 track cuts because it's a penalty per 3. It's 3 seconds per penalty, so you can work that out as well. So yeah, that's 15 track cuts for Nelson, 9 for Tamash, 9 for Floris, and obviously for some it might be more than that if they've got 1 or 2 warnings on top of the penalty they've got already. But now down to turn 1, Floris starting to gain on Jan, but because of Floris' advantage as well with the DRS, it means Istvan doesn't have that advantage he would have liked. We'll have to see though if Floris can try and get through on Jan down to turn 3. It's possible, very possible, but also Istvan gaining as well. So we'll see into turn 3. The gap's 5/10 between the top 3 at the moment. It's intense between these guys. Tamash dropping back by 2 seconds, so he's not really in much of a fight at all for any positions in the top 3. Yeah, Peso is cooking, so is Istvan. They're doing a great job to keep out the penalties. And Istvan gaining with the DRS, with the ERS. Can he try and get through? Floris also going to try and get through. Then it's turn 11. We'll see what's going to happen. Down into turn 11. Floris got to the inside line. Does he go for a move? Yes, he does. Can he get through on Jan Holiday, though? Because Jan's going to fight it round the outside at turn 11. They'll make a bit of contact. Istvan also now trying to get through. Floris has a big slide. This could give an opportunity for Istvan round the outside at turn 12. Istvan goes off track, goes back up the inside of Floris, though, then at 13 and gets through now. The battle for lead goes on to the final lap between Istvan and Jan. But also, we could see, can Floris trying to get through? No, he can't. He had a bit of a run, but unfortunately couldn't keep it on the exit. But we'll have to see. Istvan versus Jan Halliday, the main battle for first. Jan's on 40% battery, Istvan's on 30, but yeah, Istvan's has got the battery and he's got the DRS. Down to turn 3, which one's going to take the lead? Istvan gaining a lot, but I don't think it's enough to get the lead. No, it's not. It's not enough at all to get through. So the next opportunity, down to turn 11, that's the only opportunity really that Istvan's got. Floris is not going to be in fight for it anymore because he's going to lose back because of his tyres. So we'll have to see on the final lap of the race who will take the lead. We go through out of turn 7 into turn 8 now. We have the short burst of VRS usage from both of them as they head up towards turn 9 and 10. You can see now, look at Istvan using all his ERS to try and catch up to Jan to just try and get a bit of an advantage into turn 9 and 10. Bogdan gets the penalty. That doesn't really matter. He's down in 12th anyway. But we'll see who's going to take the lead. Who's going to take the... But actually, Jan's got better pace because of his ERS. I think Jan's just going to hold this off into turn 11. Jan goes a little bit deep, but it doesn't matter because Istvan can't fight back. He has a bit of a slide though, so that compromises him even more. Jan, I think he's done this and he's worked this perfectly. No penalties for Jan, no penalties for Istvan. This gives him a giant lead now in the race. And into the final corner, Jan Halliday had a terrible race in Bahrain, but he's changed completely in Australia. And Jan wins the Australian Grand Prix. Istvan finishes second and Floris, we'll see where he finishes because we've got all the penalties to come through. We'll have a look at the final classification afterwards. Bent, I think, will jump up to third. Bent's up to 4th. Floris keeps the 3rd. Great there. 49 thousandths between Floris and Benson. I thought at first, well, that's Floris' race over. He's got the 3 seconds when he was leading, and the penalties from the others kept him in the 3rd place. So great fight back there. And Fionn, we don't know where he finished, but he got driver of the day. So we'll see in a second where he managed to put his car on. He had 3 seconds of penalty, so that would have helped him heavily. I think he might finish 5th, you know. We'll have to see. As we load back into the final results page of the session, when it wants to load at least. There we are. Jan Halliday wins 3/10 to Istvan Pukki, then they win by 9 seconds because of the penalties. Then we look further down, Fionn managed to get up to 5th. great there from Phil. And then Tamash Gall 6th, Dylan Moran 7th, Sven Schumacher 8th, Cameron Davis finished in 9th, and Rish Andrejkus finished in 10th. Then we had Nelson Alves in 11th because of his enormous amount of penalties, followed by Bogdan Moldvan in 12th. And obviously, all the cars behind were either retired or AI cars. So Ekat, Jack, and Liam had AI. Cuba, Sergio, Noel, and Joseph and Vincent all retired in the session. So that takes it your top 10. Great race, lots of penalties involved, but the top 2 had a great fight towards the line, and I think a few more laps that could have changed definitely because all the different strategies that those 2 tried to try and get through on each other. Well, Istvan tried to get them through on Jan, but unfortunately it couldn't work out just enough. But great race, obviously round 2. Obviously Dylan was going into the championship lead on 25 points. I think, if my calculations are correct, Istvan will take the lead of the championship because obviously Dylan finished in 7th. Istvan, I think, finished in the top 3 as well last race. He finished 2nd, didn't he, in Bahrain? So P2, that puts him on 36 points. Dylan will have about 30, I think. So the gap's still close in the championship, but not as high as it would have been. And we'll now load back into the lobby. But thanks, everyone, for joining us. I believe we'll have a raid. I'm not sure if we will, but if we do, I'll leave the stream on so Alex can raid who he wants to. But yeah, great race. I would have done an interview, but there's no channel to do so, so we won't have interviews. I just want to quickly figure out if we're having a raid. If so, I'll have to stay on the stream quickly. Have a quick check. If not, we'll end. But yeah, well done to Istvan. Well done to Jan. Obviously, getting finally a good result he would have wanted. Hopefully, he can take this into challenges on Thursday and try and perform as well as he did today. Obviously, a lot of drivers getting penalties might not be showing their ultimate pace. Just getting a bit of practice, and also it's about figuring out what the other drivers have got on under their belt. We're not going to have a raid, I don't think. So we're going to end the stream here. Thanks, everyone, yet again, for joining in for round 2 of the Challengers Cup. We'll be back next week for round 3, which we'll look at the calendar, is at Bahrain. Imola. I'm sorry. We've had Bahrain first. Then we had Australia, then we got Imola next week. So that should be an interesting race. Not normally a track for overtaking, but that's where we kind of see the qualifying thing come into it, because qualifying is really key at Imola. Then Silverstone for round 4, great for qualifying, great for race. Spa, also great for qualifying. And also, we have different types of setups at Spa, don't we? We have some people who try to take cornering setups, some take straight line speed setups, so that should be interesting. Then we have Brazil, the final race of the season. That's where we see that's one of my favourite tracks of racing. You see so much side-by-side action. You can go side-by-side through pretty much every corner around Brazil. Not many other tracks you can do so. But thanks everyone for joining, and we'll be back next week for round 3. Have a good weekend and a good week, and we'll see you next time. So, goodbye.